34 sacks already. Their secondary has 18 interceptions, and the defense is led by the great end Chris Dolman, who leads the NFL with 12 sacks.
The one thing that the Cleveland Browns cannot do in order to win this ball game is to get into a third down and long situation where the 4 defensive linemen take off and go. They rarely blitz.
Dennis Green, the new coach of the Vikings, done a terrific job turning this franchise around, but he's not been a happy coach this week. He didn't think his team played with the spirit he liked, with the intensity last week, and they were upset by the Oilers in this building. Dennis Green says he expects a slugfest today. He wants intensity.
Well, the one thing about Dennis Green, if you ask the question, you get the answer. He says that no one that makes $500,000 a year playing football should make a mistake. He thinks they should play full out all the time, and that's Dennis Green.
And there is Bill Belichick, head coach of the Cleveland Browns, now as you see in his second season. His team coming off a tough loss as the San Diego Chargers scored late in the game at Cleveland Stadium to win last week. The Browns will start the game with the football, and Cleveland now brings it downfield. Is coming with the ball is Randy Baldwin, and he's out to about the 16-yard line. And here is Tomczak, who is the 5th-ranked passer in the American Conference. He is 4-3 as a starter with the Browns since the injury to Bernie Kosar. Overall, though, during his career, he's got a big winning percentage, including his starting years with the Chicago Bears. Metcalf might get the ball a lot today. Vardell, they'll try to run at the strong Minnesota defense. Jackson and Tillman, 2 deep threats. Bavaro at tight end. The offensive line will be tested today. The Viking pass rush is very formidable, and you'll see it early as Tomczak drops to throw. Quick timing pattern. He makes the connection, and with the ball is tight end Mark Bavaro. So Tomczak with a quick 3-step drop, guns the ball over the middle, and it's good for a gain of almost 8 yards. Merriweather on the tackle. There's the front 7 of the Vikings. Rookies in there today. Brad Culpepper from Florida. John Randall nursing a bad leg. Coleman, Jenkins, and Del Rio's been a big factor at middle linebacker for the Vikings. Good tacklers. Secondary could be vulnerable. The Browns think they can throw on it. 2nd down and 2 for Cleveland. Vardell, big play by Al Noga. Oh, he came in like Superman on the fly.
Well, no one blocked him, actually. Noga's on the end of the line of scrimmage, and he's going to come down the line. Nobody blocks him. He goes inside, and when he does that, Dan Fike lets him go. He just makes the play in the backfield. You know, you mentioned John Randall is not starting, and Culpepper is starting. We talked to Belichick yesterday, so, you know, Randall, he says, Randall going to play? We said, we don't know. He said, that'll be all right with me if he doesn't.
Yeah, right. But a big play by Noga on Kevin Mack. It's now 3rd and 2. Swing pass, well thrown, running hard with the ball is Leroy Horde, and Horde is still running out across the 40-yard line. A big gain for the Browns, and good for a 1st down out to the 42-yard line.
Tomczak gets rid of the ball in a hurry because Noga, again, on the left of your screen will be the guy in his face. Tomczak gets over Noga, and look at now you've got blockers out in front. Merriweather gets blocked. Once that happens, Wright can't get over fast enough. He does get in and make the play. 19-yard gain, 1st down, Cleveland.
So the Browns get the big play on 3rd down and move the ball now out to their 43-yard line. This is the opening drive of the game. Again, Tomczak, this time with a deeper drop. Long ball downfield. Man is open, running under the ball and making the play is Lawyer Tillman. He's down to the 6-yard line. So the Browns strike deep and hit the big play early as Audrey McMillan, a vulnerable cornerback, is beaten and badly by Lawyer Tillman.
You know, when you take a look at Tillman coming downfield, now he just makes a quick hitch, and McMillan just bites on the hitch. Now, I don't know if he supposed to have Scott 38 to the inside. If so, Scott was there. But deep to the outside, that's got to be McMillan's man, and Tillman just beats him. But the throw is right on target.
A 52-yard gain on the play. See, Tillman averaging 22 yards a catch. That just went way up with that 52-yard play. Straight ahead, Kevin Mack takes it down close to the 2-yard line. And it'll be 2nd down and goal from there.
If there's been a problem with the Cleveland Browns, this is it. Once they get inside the 20-yard line, now they're inside the 5-yard line. But they have a lot of problems putting the ball in the end zone. Belichick was telling us this. I don't understand it. I know that the field shrinks up a little bit, but you still, with their offensive linemen, should be able to get the ball into the end zone.
Tomczak has to throw the ball away.
Well, what happened with Tomczak on the play is a little play action pass. He was trying to get Ron Wolfley, number 26, coming out of the backfield, but the coverage was perfect. He has no place to throw the ball. Now Wolfley, 26, you see him on the left of the screen coming out. Watch what happens. First he gets stuck in the backfield, and then there's no place to throw the ball. So Tomczak throws the ball away.
Now very important down for the Browns as they have to take it in on this play or try the field goal. They'll probably be throwing again. Tomczak with the sprint rollout. Looking, he's got a man. And then throws it away as the coverage comes in. Scott Galbraith, 81, was open momentarily. Then Dolman put the pressure on, and when he was open, apparently Tomczak didn't see him, so now the field goal unit has to come out.
What they did on that last play is run a bootleg, and when you run a bootleg, there's nobody out there with you. Watch Tomczak. The backs go one way to the right of the screen. Tomczak comes back out this way. Now, when he's sitting out there by himself, really, Dahl's the only guy out there. You've got to wait for the guys to come across. The catch was made by the guy in the second row in the end zone. It was a very good catch.
That's right. Stover now to try really a point-blank field goal. It's like an extra point. And the Browns culminate the opening drive with 3 points. No touchdown, but they do take the lead over the favored Vikings with 11:22 to play in the first quarter. So when we come back, Cleveland will be kicking off as the Vikings will go on offense.
Yes, the Cleveland Browns, they have 3 points. But that man, Bill Belichick, is not happy. We saw him yesterday. He said, we can't score. We've got to score 7 and not 3. They came away with 3 points, but you're down there first and goal at the 5-yard line and end up with 3 points. That's not good.
But it is good enough to take the lead. 79 of the Browns' 82 yards in that drive came passing. Only 3 on the rush. Here is the kickoff now as the ball is hit downfield by Matt Stover. And this is Keith Henderson, a former 49er, taking the ball out to the 20-yard line. As we now take a look at the offense for the Minnesota Vikings. Gannon at quarterback. Terry Allen is their primary runner, a very good back, averaging almost 5 yards a carry. He scored 8 touchdowns. The great Anthony Carter, maybe a step slower, but still a danger threat when he goes long. Chris Carter's been their top receiver. Jordan, 6 times a Pro Bowler at tight end. Tremendous players on the left side of that offensive line, and Zimmerman and McDaniel. The Vikings go to the run, and the Browns are waiting for it as the sure tackling middle linebacker Mike Johnson is there to make the stop. As we'll look now at the Cleveland Browns defensive unit, the front 4 of Burnett, Jones, Michael Dean, Perry, and Pleasant, Brandon Johnson, and the 15-year veteran Clay Matthews back the line. They'll be in an extra defensive back set often. Minifield and Taylor starting corners. The hard-hitting Eric Turner, the strong safety Vince Newsom, leads the Browns with 3 interceptions. No gain on that last play. They pitch back. Again, they go to Allen. He turns it up, and he's out to the 28-yard line. Taken down again by Mike Johnson. Also on the play was Frank Minifield. Big block by Roger Craig on the play.
You know, Roger Craig, what a great acquisition this team. And you talk about his work ethic. Number 33 is Roger Craig. To the right of the screen, right behind the goalpost here. Let's watch his block. Here he comes up into the hole. Takes on the linebacker. That's Brandon. Puts him down on the ground, and they pick up almost 9 yards on the play.
3rd down and almost 2. Rich Gannon was talking yesterday about what an inspirational player Roger Craig is. How he just sets the pace in practice every day. What a tremendous team player he is. And this is Roger Craig breaking it ahead for the first down. He's out to the 42-yard line. Craig, who played on 3 Super Bowl championship teams for the 49ers. 3 times.
The guy that makes this work is Habib. He gets out in front. He is the right guard. And watch number 64, excuse me. He comes up, 74, I'm sorry, is Habib. He gets the block, and Roger Craig gets to the outside. When you're talking about Craig and his influence, if Craig runs a play, here he is here, like a draw or whatever is in practice, and they're 90 yards away, he will run all the way to the end zone. And he delivers a blow at the end.
Now Gannon takes a drop. Rush comes in on him. Gannon's a very good man with the ball on the run, and he's knocked out of bounds. David Brandon came across and popped him just before he went out. Gannon is out of the University of Delaware. He was originally drafted in '87 by the New England Patriots, but traded quickly to the Vikings.
Michael Dean Perry, number 92, said to us yesterday, he can move. This guy is fast. Now look at Perry. Now he knows there's no sense of chasing because you're not going to catch it. But Brandon is the man that makes the play. Now that's a good legal hit because Gannon is still in the playing field.
Like Michael Dean said, Paul, you got to have a light breakfast to run this guy down.
It's a great line.
2nd down and 7 now for the Vikings, who trail the Browns 3-0 in the first quarter. Roger Craig with both arms on the football, and that high pumping knee action gets a lead block from another former 49er, Keith Henderson, and takes the ball out to the 49-yard line.
Yeah, but that blocking started up in the line with Loudermilk, number 63, and Randall McDaniel, number 64. And the two guards, the other one, Habib, 74. These two guys just opened the hole. They went straight ahead with the play. No faking, just right at you. What do they call it? Smash mouth.
That's it. That's what Coach Green wants to see. People putting that hitting surface on each other. Jordan moves over to strong right. Tight end wide to the right. Flexed out. Gannon takes a look down the middle of the field. Here comes the rush. Here's a throw, and well done for a first down for the Vikings. As Joe Johnson, number 89, comes across the middle, and Rich Gannon threads it through.
What a great throw, because he had Brandon was there and Mike Johnson's there. Watch where he has to throw this ball. He being Gannon. Here he comes. He's going to break out to the outside. Now watch where the ball is thrown. See Brandon coming in? Look at how the perfect pass that has to be in order to get the first down.
So the Vikings drive on. Joe Johnson, who played at Notre Dame, his name was Joe Howard then, Joe Small Wonder Howard. He goes to the sidelines as it's now first down and 10 Vikings. Free ball. Browns are on it. Cleveland might have the football. They do. So the Browns defense capitalizes on a fumbled snap. Michael Dean Perry gobbled it up. Knight Johnson was also there. It might be Johnson who had the ball. It was definitely a Cleveland Brown. We'll watch again.
Well, I want to see this replay again because I'm going to show you what happens. Gannon pulls out too soon, and Loudermilk puts the ball straight up in the air instead of back. We can go back and take a look at this thing. You're going to see the ball come straight up in the air, and Gannon is already away. Watch this. Just right here, watch where the ball goes. There's Gannon's hands away. See where the ball is? It's in a position. Gannon got out too soon.
And it was Mike Johnson who recovered the fumble, so the Browns go on offense again, and Tomczak comes right back pitching. An open field stick put on Horde. He takes on the tackler, Carl Lee. Leaves him on the field stunned. Lee's not up, and Horde gets ahead for a gain of about 7 yards.
I'm going to tell you something.
It's a full load, Leroy.
Oh, and Lee hits him right at the line of scrimmage. Full blast. He has a direct run. Horde doesn't see him until he turns. Watch Tomczak. He's going to flip it to the outside. Now, Lee is going to come in right about now. Look at this. Full blast. He doesn't wrap his arms around. He's still down on the field.
So while Carl Lee is attended to, there's a break in the action. We'll return to the Metrodome in a moment.
You know you can get cash just across the street. But did you know you can get cash all across the country? Using the same card you use at the cash machines at home. That is, when your card has a plus.
Bigger one as we'll watch again here, Paul.
Watch it, the hit, and watch Lee. Now, he has his arms around just for a second. Bang, his arms are around, but it looks like he's stunned. He might have got knocked out for just a second when he made the hit because he let go.
2nd down and 3. The Browns go to the run. They send rookie Tommy Vardell at the Vikings. They send Tommy back the other way. Jack Del Rio leading the tacklers, but Vardell's going to be close to a first down. It appears he's going to be about a foot short of it. It'll bring up 3rd down and that much.
He's just got to get over the 45-yard line. Now they're bringing in the big backs. You got Wolfley coming in along with Mack, 26 and 34. And, you know, and with Tomczak, it would not surprise me to see him throw the ball.
It's interesting. Yesterday, Paul, Del Rio said to us, we'll be disappointed if we don't shut down the Cleveland offense. They really viewed the Cleveland Browns offense with disdain, thought they could shut it down. Browns have been moving the ball big time on them early in this game as Kevin Mack takes it inside the 45-yard line and down to the 44. Felix Wright, a former Cleveland Brown, was on the stop along with Mike Merriweather.
See, I agree with what's happening with as far as the Minnesota Vikings are concerned. Now, you watch Mack struggle for this yardage, and he does get the first down because he kept his feet going, a continuous effort. But the one thing about the Cleveland Browns, they have not been able to run the football this year. And in order for them to beat the Minnesota Vikings, they have to put a drive together and score on the ground. They're going to be able to get in the air a few times, but if they get it again in that third down and long situation, they're in a lot of trouble.
Browns average only 3.3 yards a rush coming into this game. Hamzak sidearms the ball. It's picked off. Harold Lee comes up with the ball. There's a penalty marker down in the secondary.
Defensive pass interference. The Browns will keep the ball.
Harold Lee, who was stunned a bit ago, and Coach Green now a bit exercised down the sidelines.
Well, Tomczak is looking to throw a little slant in. I think it's to Tillman on the outside. But watch this. The pressure is there. These guys are coming close. No cigars yet, but pass interference.
Pass interference on number 22.
The ex-Brown, Felix Wright, called for pass interference. That negates the interception and gives Cleveland a first down inside the 30-yard line of the Vikings.
Well, as soon as I saw the receiver hit the deck before the ball got there, I looked downfield for the flag. And
that's a
sure
tip-off, huh?
Yeah, well, you know, I can see sometimes when you slip and fall down, but this is not a slippery surface.
So the Browns holding to a 3-0 lead over the heavily favored Vikings. Now driving again. 14 yards on the penalty here.
Well, there it is on the left-hand side of the screen. You see number 22 Wright just grabbed the receiver and knocked him down.
Tom's throwing very effectively. And Kevin Mack, with both arms on the ball, takes it inside the 25-yard line and down to the 23. The Browns already well within field goal range, but they want the 6.
And you see, when you look at the Browns now, this is ideal situation for any team, especially today for the Cleveland Browns. They are now into a 2nd and almost 5 situation, a little over 4. Now you can do anything you want to do with your offense. And I mean anything. Play action passes are perfect in this situation.
5 minutes to go in the first quarter. Tomczak has time, threads the ball. He's got Michael Jackson at the 11-yard line. It's a first down for Cleveland. Might be another marker down.
Jackson got up. Felix Wright said, no, you don't.
Marker down the line of scrimmage. Could have a hold.
63. Defense.
Whoa.
Tripping.
Pat Haggerty, our referee. So another errant play by Minnesota.
We got 63 offense tripping. 63 offense.
63 on the defense would be Loudermilk, who's also the center for the Minnesota Vikings. It'd be very difficult for him to do that.
Well, we got this sorted out now. It was Hilgenberg of the Browns who was guilty of tripping.
Right in the middle of your screen, Tomczak's under center. Here goes Hilgenberg. Now watch this. Anybody coming around? Yeah. Boink. And the worst part about it, he missed. He missed Henry Thomas.
So that sets the Browns back now to the Vikings 33-yard line. 2nd and long, and you'll see the Vikes come on the rush now as that big front 4 tees it up. They bring the linebackers up. And the Browns go to the quick slant, and Mack responds with yardage down to the 27-yard line. Gain on the play of about 5 or 6 yards as you see Houston's gone in front of Miami in the first quarter.
Now we got Sean Collins that's in the ball game. And this puts Cleveland back in the situation. Cleveland knows now it's over. They've got a pretty good chance of kicking a field goal here and get out. They would like to get the first down, obviously, and continue on for the touchdown. But now with no backs in the backfield, does this tell you they're going to pass? Or an end around with Metcalf.
It's going to be a quick timing pattern. There it is. Thrown and completed to Lawyer Tillman, who's down to the 15-yard line. And as you watch Tomczak, as we have, Paul, you marvel at or wonder why this guy wasn't in the league. They got him as a complete free agent. He's been effective every game he's played for Cleveland.
I'll tell you one thing about Tomczak. Everybody's a little bit afraid of him. You don't know what he's going to do. He is so cocky when he plays and is so confident in his arm and his ability to read defenses. That time, he found the one man that was open. And that was Tillman. There's Tomczak. He gets a smack in the face by Parker, but he's all right.
give. Vardell cuts back, and Tommy Vardell takes it down to the 6-yard line. The Browns' #1 draft choice and their leading rusher, averaging 3.9 a carry, scored 43 touchdowns at Stanford, Tommy Vardell, but he's yet to score one for Cleveland.
Now, Bill Belichick, what did he tell us yesterday? One of the keys to this game, stay in the game early.
And talking to Tony Dungy before the game, the defensive coordinator for the Vikings, he said, our game plan is to get ahead and turn loose our pass rush. Right now, there's Tony Dungy in the center there, former standout quarterback for the Golden Gophers in Minnesota. Hand off to Vardell, and he finds his way as the Browns very careful to protect the ball. And that on a 2nd and 2 play is going to be good for a Cleveland first down. So it'll be 1st and goal for the Browns.
Touchdown, Tommy Vardell. Only problem is touchdownless Tommy Vardell. He has no touchdowns this year. Stanford, 91, he had 20. So far this year,
20.
0.
That's a career.
20? I think so.
Scored 7 against Notre Dame in 2 games.
Guess who? He'd have never done it against the Citadel, I'll tell you that, pal.
Not at 9-1, right? Here's a handoff to Vardell, and he gets close on a 1st down carry. And we've seen all this before. The Browns down in point-blank range, but unable to knock it in. The last time you remember, they threw the ball down close and weren't successful. And now they're coming with extra power, people, as they have the ball down to almost to the 1-yard line of the Vikings.
And I think that this is a situation, Crick, where you just run the ball. Don't get fancy. You've got your people up front. Let them just block block the defensive line. They're going with James Jones, number 96, in the backfield, and Mack is behind him.
Mack's the eye back, and he gets the ball. Kevin Mack turns it up, turns it in, and he's in for a touchdown. So the Browns pop it in, capitalizing on the fumble by Gannon. And Coach Belichick and his underdog Cleveland Browns all of a sudden have taken early command of this game, 9-0. Cleveland fans vividly remember the preseason game. You did it, Paul, when the Vikings beat the Browns 56-3.
Yeah, it was no contest, but this time you see Mack, and he's going into the end zone. He's following James Jones, number 96, who lines up in the backfield. There's Wolfley. There's Jones, number 96, and there goes Mack right in behind him. Touchdown. Excellent play.
The extra point is hit up and good by Matt Stover. So the Browns capitalize on a turnover, and early in this game they have a 10-0 lead.
The NFL on NBC is brought to you by the Heartbeat of America, Chevrolet, and your local Chevy dealer. By Old Spice Antiperspirant. For great odor protection, now you've got proof, not promises. By Coors Light, the silver bullet is the right beer now. And by Radio Shack, America's technology store. Nobody compares.
Darren Nelson and Keith Henderson will be back now to take the kickoff, as Coach Belichick has seen his Browns, after recovering a fumble by the Vikings, go 10 plays, 55 yards. Kevin Mack on the payoff end. And Cleveland, a decided underdog coming into the game, has taken a 10-0 lead in the first quarter. Stover, a high kickoff. It'll carry short. This is Darren Nelson, the former All-American at Stanford. Up the middle. And he is taken down. Is coming over to make the play for Cleveland was Harlan Barnett, number 37.
We got a team here, the Minnesota Vikings, 7-3 going into this game. 3 games ahead in their division, getting booed.
Coach Belichick doesn't get too worked up over things like touchdowns.
Well, it's early in the ball game, you know. He knows. You remember the Vikings were down 20-0 against the Chicago Bears going into the fourth quarter and won the game 21-20. So, I mean, that's just another touchdown. Let's get on with it. Let's get on with it.
Now Gannon might feel pressure to start hitting some big plays. He could be throwing deep before long. On the first play in 1st and 10, he goes to the run up the middle as Terry Allen runs the ball. Viking offense has really sputtered lately. In the first 6 games this year, Gannon had 13 touchdown passes, but he only has 1 touchdown pass in the last 4 games.
You know, and I'm not making excuses for the Minnesota Vikings. Nobody has to. I mean, they're in top of their division. But here's a team that offensively is usually the last team that catches on. And they are struggling. They are really struggling this year offensively. Defensively, they're pretty solid. But on the offensive standpoint, they're still learning this system.
Straight ahead handoff, and the Browns are reading run all the way as Terry Allen gets the call and gets a full load of Michael Dean Perry.
Well, they learned another lesson, too. Don't run at Mike Johnson either. I mean, if you're going to go someplace else. Mike Johnson just nailed the play. We're going into the second quarter, and it's going to be 3rd and long.
That'll do it for the first quarter of play as the Browns have command 10-0. The last time the Vikings and the Browns played was at Cleveland Stadium in December of '89. A fake field goal attempt. And the ball is thrown by Pagel, completed to Van Waiters, a linebacker who was eligible on the play. And he's now back in the line for the Minnesota Vikings. There is Van Waiters, a former Cleveland Brown. He remembers that vividly. The last time they played here was in '86, Cleveland Browns, and they beat the Vikings rather decisively that day, 23-10. Minnesota looking for offense now, down 10-0 as we start the second quarter. Don Criqui with Paul Maguire at the Metrodome in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Over the middle throw, ball on the field. If it's a fumble, Mike Johnson has it, but they're going to rule it an incomplete pass.
And I don't know that Carter had the first down anyway. If he'd have caught the ball, I still think he'd have been about a half a yard short of the first down. Here comes the booze again. Now, Gannon is waiting for Carter. That's his man. Look at him. He's watching him the entire way. Here's Carter. He is not at the first down. At that point, Moore makes the hit. Was not a catch. He never had control of the ball.
Gary Newsom having a good year punting the ball for the Vikings. And back to return it is number 21 for the Browns, Eric Metcalf.
Movement. Brad Culpepper, number 77, moves in the offensive line. There'll be another 5-yard penalty.
And it is going to go against the Vikings. Were it against the Browns, it would be a first down for Minnesota. So the Vikings, who had really took a lashing on Monday from their coach Dennis Green, as people around here said, the honeymoon
Ball
ended.
start. Motion before the snap. Number 51. 4th down.
Number 51. I don't think so.
Carlos Jenkins is number 51.
Culpepper was in the line. Watch on the left hand, right left of the center. Watch Culpepper move. See 77? He's wide open now. Look at him. That's 77.
Vikings will
51.
set up to punt again now as Newsom will be dropping back to his 10-yard line. Browns could come out of this with fairly good field position. 2 penalties on the Vikings already for 19 yards. 1 against the Browns. Shouldn't be this hard, guys.
No. They're arguing who the guy was.
Let him play football. We've yet to have a paid admission to see an official.
I like that.
Newsom hits the ball downfield. Metcalf at the 29. And Metcalf runs it out to the 38-yard line. Taken down on the play by Carlos Jenkins. And Cleveland, with a 10-0 lead over the Vikings, goes back on offense again as number 18 Mike Tomczak is set to come out. Coming up next on most of these NBC stations, more exciting NFL action on the second half of our doubleheader. Most of you will see 2 arch rivals from the AFC West. The Broncos and the Raiders meet at Los Angeles. The Jets also play the Patriots today. Check your local listings. A doubleheader day on NBC Sports.
Now, the Browns have done the thing that they really want to do. They're staying out of 3rd and long situations where the defensive line can tee off and come after them. They're just playing smart football. We saw them 2 weeks ago against Houston do the same thing.
Pitch back. Mack runs it wide, turns it up. And Al Noga, who is a force at defensive end, in his 5th year from Hawaii, number 99, makes another stop. Al Noga, when he gets a sack in a game, he's done it 5 times. The Vikings are 5-0. Buffalo laying it to the Atlanta Falcons. Jerry Glanville could be riding that Harley right out of Atlanta at the end of this season.
It won't be fun, folks.
Tomczak sets his team up now. 2nd down and 7 for Cleveland. Well done. Leroy Horde spinning and coming across the 45-yard line, and he gets the ball out close to the 46.
Vincey Glenn, number 25, is the guy that really makes the play, and he's just concentrating on the ball carrier. Take a look at, they're all blocking to the outside. Hilgenberg blocks inside, and watch 25 comes in and makes the play. If Vincey Glenn does not make that tackle, Ford may still be running.
Jackson goes wide right. Lawyer Tillman, who caught a 52-yard pass earlier, is wide to the left. Tillman now comes in motion. A back pedal drop, and Tomczak swings it out. A big rush by Dolman forced the errant throw. Well done on defense by the Vikings as they finally shut down the Cleveland Browns. Brian Hansen coming out to punt for the first time.
Here's the coach sitting there saying, about time. All right, here comes the rush. Dolman, 56. It's being blocked, really blocked by 2. He's just in the face, and Tomczak is trying to get it to the outside. He knows he threw the pass behind Horde. He had no chance of getting it.
See, Brian Hansen's number is that 20 inside the 20 is an NFL leading stat as Hansen now drops back to his 30-yard line, steps up, hit the ball to 35, a high kick, well hit ball downfield. Anthony Parker fields it on a fair catch at the 12-yard line for the Vikings. So the Vikes get the ball, but they're pinned back in their own end, ready to go on offense again, as Denny Green is waiting to see some offense. Right now he sees a 10-0 number up for Cleveland. There's Jack Burns, the offensive coordinator for the Vikings. He spent the previous 3 seasons as receivers coach of the Washington Redskins. He has happy memories of this building, Paul. As a Redskin coach, they buried Buffalo here in the last Super Bowl.
They certainly did. And that offense was, they're running basically the same offense the Redskins.
It is the Redskin offense, and Gannon says we're still learning it. We're not completely in tune with it. They like the offense. Nice play by Keith Henderson as he breaks a tackle and gets out to the 31-yard line. A gain on the play of 19 yards.
Boy, he ran through 2 big players. He ran through Turner and also Brandon. I mean, that was just an excellent run, and Mike Johnson is down on the ground, and the Browns cannot afford to lose this guy. All right, let's take a look at Henderson coming out. A little flip pass to the outside. Gannon's just trying to make something happen. Watch this contact. Bang. Well, actually, it was Turner that made the hit. He only ran through 1 guy, and then Brandon pushed him off.
So while Mike Johnson is attended to, there's a break in the action with 12:46 to play in the first half. Mike Johnson's up and okay, he'll be back in. Took a bang under his right eye as Gannon drops straight back. He looks to screen the ball, does to Roger Craig. Looking for help. None is coming, and the Browns sweep him under. Excellent defense by Cleveland. From the previous play, you'll listen to the sounds of head knocking here on the battlefield. Listen to this. Putting those helmets on helmets.
Leather on leather. They're still using leather. That play right there, that screen pass to Roger Craig should have never been thrown. Gannon should have thrown the ball away because the Cleveland Browns read it perfectly.
Passing out headaches. Now the Vikings are way back. They have 2nd down and 21 coming up. Out pattern completed, but for a gain of only 2 yards as Chris Carter catches his 50th pass of the season. But the Browns will give them that all day long. Terry Taylor on the tackle, and the Viking fans are not happy.
Not happy? Excuse me, folks. There's 11.5 minutes to go in the 2nd quarter. They're only down by 10. I don't understand the booing. I mean, is there a reason for it? It'll get better. Maybe not today.
3rd and 16 for the Vikings.
Cleveland, just as they did 2 weeks ago at Houston, playing an excellent football game. Mistake-free. Doing all the right things. Here's Gannon again as they flush him out of the pocket. Here comes the rush. Matthews is after him. And the ball caroms off his receiver as Joe Johnson comes back at the ball. And it's an incomplete pass, and the Vikings have to punt it again.
Gannon did one of the things that the Cleveland Browns didn't want to let it happen, and that's get out of the pocket because they say he's a better passer on the run. Watch where he hits Joe Johnson with the ball. You've got to catch this. Gannon breaks back to the outside. Now watch where he puts the ball on a dead run. He throws the ball and hits Joe Johnson. Watch this, in the chest.
Number 21.
That's good. Bang. You've got to catch it.
Browns coaches felt that Gannon is much more dangerous when he rolls out of the pocket. He's so effective throwing on the run. They wanted to try to keep him in the pocket. Almost a block. Browns almost got to the punt. Here's Eric Metcalf back. He fair catches the ball at his 31-yard line as there's excellent coverage downfield for the Minnesota Vikings. Jake Reed, a wide receiver, got down, and now Gannon talking to Coach Burns, trying to get this thing going when he gets his next chance.
The NFL on NBC is brought to you by Mazda. Mazda, it just feels right. By Black & Decker, the source of powerful gift ideas. By New Hager wrinkle-free cotton pants. 100% cotton, 0% wrinkles. And by Presto, it stops the rust that stops your car.
Welcome back to the Metrodome. 11 minutes to go in the first half. The Cleveland Browns with the ball on a surprising 10-0 lead. Browns starting out now 1st and 10 at their 31-yard line. Tomczak at quarterback for the Browns has been a standout. 5 of 8 throws have been completed for 98 yards. Now they go to the run, and Tommy Vardell is stuffed quickly by the all-pro Chris Dolman. Now while we have a moment, let's go to New York and NFL Live to Bob Costas.
Well, Don, it's also 10-0 for the visitors in Miami. Here's Cody Carlson for the injured Warren Moon. He hits the AFC's leading receiver, Haywood Jeffries, for the 5-yard touchdown. Miami's defense having trouble still without John Offerdahl, and they trail. There's Moon celebrating on the sideline. He's out 3 to 6 weeks. Carlson's got them in front, 10-0.
So an underdog leads at Miami as an underdog leads here at Minnesota. Handoff. Vardell cuts back. Vikings come with all 11 men on defense playing the run and stuff it. Now a pup down for Tomczak, 3rd and 10.
I'll tell you, Chris Dolman, you may talk about him leading the National Football League in sacks, but this man has been playing the run in this ball game. Number 56 along with Merriweather. Watch Chris Dolman. He goes to the inside. Now watch who gets back off the ground and makes a play along with Merriweather, 57. That's hustling on defense. Got a timeout down on the field. Cleveland only has a 10-point lead. Don't get too conservative.
Somebody accidentally kicked the ball, and then they picked it up and had to look for it. Should have respotted.
Trying to get a footprint.
On 3rd and 10, a blitz. Tomczak stands in. There's a penalty marker down. As all of a sudden the Viking defense rises up and looks to be the purple people eaters of old.
And guess who's in there along with everyone else? We had Culpepper playing at the beginning. Remember that? Now they got John Randall is in playing as one of the is at the right tackle, playing left tackle here. But look at Noga. No one touched Al Noga.
Before the snap.
This is going to bring the ball back. If you have a false start by an offensive lineman
Before the snap,
the play is dead. Now, who was the false start? Was it on the outside? If it's by a lineman, the penalty is enforced. I just had a discussion before the game with Jack Reeder, with one of the officials that's here. And they're doing some replay here, working on some pre-rework.
5 seconds back on the clock, please. 5 seconds back on the clock.
the Giants up on the Philadelphia Eagles.
Thank you.
Dave Megan with a 92-yard kickoff return. Yeah, see, it's still 3rd down. I mean, you just can't refuse this deal. It's automatically an offensive lineman. When he moves, the clock is stopped. The play is dead.
Tomczak was a man under siege, and he will be again as the Vikings are ready to come with that big rush. He goes on a quarter keep. He told us yesterday he'd be trying that. He'd worked it with him when he was a Chicago Bear. It's a signal that just he and Hilgenberg have.
John Randall, I'm telling you, talk about quick. John Randall catches him with one hand. Now, I don't know if Tomczak would have made it. Watch to the left of Tomczak.
It's a called play.
Bang! Randall just reaches over. When you don't block anybody, doll number 72 didn't block anyone. He just stepped back. He was trying to sucker Randall in. He didn't take it. He went right for Tomczak and brought him down.
Ryan Hansen ready to punt for the Browns. Vikes could come out of this with good field position.
Here they come.
Hansen takes his time, booms it downfield. Anthony Parker fair catches as there's tremendous special teams coverage by Randy Baldwin, who was ready to lay him out if he didn't wave the arm for the fair catch. And the long punt by Hansen now puts the Vikings back at their 22-yard line, and that's where they'll go when we come back. Mike Tomczak, quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, putting up some good numbers today. 5 of 8 throws completed for 98 yards. As the Browns are a surprise leader, Don Criqui with Paul Maguire. We talked at the outset how Tomczak likes playing in this building. He had success here with Ohio State against Minnesota and with the Chicago Bears against the Vikings.
I think the one thing in that last series of downs, that's one thing I didn't want to see. Don't limit him. Let him go ahead out and play the game. They've got a 10-point lead. Don't get conservative now. They ran 2 conservative plays, and then he had to try to run a quarterback sneak in order to do it. And we know from yesterday, Criqui, that was his own call. He made that decision.
Yeah, he was hoping to catch him in an all-out rush. Go right on by him. Now here's Gannon standing in. Tip ball. Nicely done. Bill Johnson, a big rookie from Michigan State, number 94, got a mid on the ball. So Gannon continues to struggle, as does the Viking offense. We were told that Johnson's going to get a lot of work today.
Well, Bill Johnson, number 94, just sticks his big paws up and hits the ball down. I'm looking at a very, very conservative Minnesota Viking offense. And it's really strange to see this because they've got the firepower to get it downfield.
Gannon with a handoff. Here's Roger Craig turning it up. And Craig fights his way across the 30-yard line. He has a first down for the Vikings. Eric Turner, 29, came up from the strong safety position along with Clay Matthews to make the tackle.
They just run a draw play. This is called at the line of scrimmage, and I think they checked off to 80. But I want to show you something for you young people out there. Watch what Roger Craig does. The ball is in his left hand. You see it here? Now watch. Hold on. Hold on. Stop right there. You see him switch it to his right hand because here comes Matthews, the tackler. Now Matthews can't get to the ball. Roger Craig covers the ball, picks up the first down. That's outstanding running.
Roger Craig with his 3rd team in 3 seasons. 3 years ago, he was a 49er. Last year, a L.A. Raider. This year is a Plan B, a Minnesota Viking. He says it's nice to be appreciated. He really likes being here. Handoff again, and Roger Craig still has that burst. A man who rushed for over 1,000 yards and caught passes for over 1,000 yards, an NFL record. He did that back in 1985 with the 49ers.
Crick, I want you to take a look at something. Forget about the play. Look at the players. There's 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are 10 players inside the hash marks. They are not spreading out the Brown defense. And then with this call here, they run straight up the middle with it. That puts a lot of pressure on your offensive linemen.
Pitch back. Roger Craig fights close to the first down marker on a 2nd down and 3 play. He got about 2. Mike Johnson, the middle linebacker, the 2-time Pro Bowl player, number 59, was on yet another stop for Cleveland. He was the man that jumped on that fumble earlier, and the Browns, 55 yards later, got it in the end zone on a Kevin Mack run to extend their lead to 10-0 where it now stands.
Minnesota Vikings, they've got to spread out this defense a little bit. You take a look. When you look here, now they're spreading out. It's 3rd down and short, and they're spreading it out. This is what you have to do on 1st down, I think.
Roger Craig's the lone setback. He gets the pitch, and the Browns get him. Stop him for a loss, and a penalty marker comes in. Ernie Logan, number 97, was the man who made the play for Cleveland. Let's see what the call is now, Paul.
Well, you know, here I'm looking at things that just, to me, don't seem to be working very well. This time on this last play, the Vikings spread out the defense. Now you spread out the defense, crack back, and you run wide. Well, all right, let me just show you something. Look at how far spread out this is. Now you're spreading the defense out on the field, right on the perimeters. If you're going to run somewhere, run in here. Don't run out here. Once you do that, the defensive end comes up. Watch what happens. I love clearing this thing. I can't. There it is.
There you go.
Here it is. Now watch what happens. See when you run outside? You've got people out there to make the play. If you're going to spread them out, run inside.
Well, that brings up 3rd down. There's a...
On the offense, declined, 4th down.
It will be
Number
4th down.
89,
They're not going to take the
crackback.
penalty.
Declined,
They
4th
changed it down to 4, and Belichick apparently likes something. He's got to like the play of the Cleveland Browns, who have been clearly the superior team in every aspect of this game, despite coming in as a big underdog to Coach Green's Vikings. Browns seem to be at their best when they play in dome stadiums on the road as a big underdog. They played their best game against the Oilers at Houston.
We're seeing the same performance.
Well hit by Newsom. Eric Metcalf backpedals to his 10-yard line. And Jake Reed makes a big play on special teams. A big wide receiver from Grambling. Jake Reed comes down, number 86, and makes the tackle. So the Vikings special teams now pin the Browns back.
All right, Crick. You know, talk about the defense. You talk about this defense, and they've made things happen. They've scored 6 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 2 on fumble recoveries. This defense, in order for the Vikings to win today, they're going to have to do something. But the Browns are playing solid offensively and defensively.
And tonight, at an all-new Secret Service, New York, 1980. Assassins target Ron Reagan Jr., the plot to kill the president's son and how it was foiled, followed by an all-new eyewitness video. And it's an NBC world premiere miniseries inspired by the chilling true story, Deadly Matrimony, starring Ryan Dennehy, Treat Williams, and Susan Rutan. That's tonight on NBC. Right now, the Browns have the ball deep in their own end. Hard throw and a connection to Michael Jackson. Tomczak really put some pop on that ball as he threaded it through about 3 Viking defenders, Paul. Looked like they would have a play on the ball.
And a big bright spot this year for the Cleveland Browns is Michael Jackson. A year ago, he had a great training camp, didn't do much during the season. Now he's doing a pretty good job during the season. And you're right, watch this play. To the right, Tomczak five-step drop and then fires it. I mean, that ball's there in a hurry. There are 3 Vikings out there. Jackson makes the play.
It brings up 2nd and about a yard for Cleveland. The Brown backs, who've not been gaining big yardage, do a very good job protecting the ball, though. The one fumble in this game has been critical so far. Cleveland turned it into a touchdown.
Chris Dolman again, 56. It was 2nd and 1. It's going to be now 3rd and 2. Look at this. There's Jack Del Rio, Chris Dolman, Merriweather. Del Rio is the man that made the play. And we're talking to Coach Green about Del Rio. He said, we got him for the run. Did I see the Buffalo Bills up 35-0?
Glanville might be riding that Harley out of town this week. Sounds like his team quit when you're down 35-0 in the 2nd quarter. Tomczak on the run. He's got some room. Turns the corner, and Mike Tomczak runs out of bounds after giving Jack Del Rio one of his quick moves. So it's a 1st down. Del Rio seems to be enjoying all this.
Yeah,
He's played
Tomczak's
well.
having a good time. But watch what Tomczak does now. He runs with the ball. He's trying to throw the ball on the outside. There's just no place to throw it. The coverage is perfect. So when Tomczak runs, watch him tease Del Rio. When he gets to the sideline, watch this. He slows down. I'll tell you, Tomczak is a strange agent. You know, if you get him in a room, he's a funny guy.
He's self-confident, loose. He looks forward to playing every Sunday, no matter how good the opposition is. He pitches back here to Kevin Mack and gets to the ball at the 35-yard line. He was a highly successful quarterback at Ohio State, Tomczak. In fact, quarterbacked the Buckeyes to 3 victories over Michigan. He was a winning player, 23-11 as a starter for the Chicago Bears, even though he wasn't drafted. Then he got cut by Green Bay last summer. He was holding out and was sitting home for 8 weeks, working out on his own when the Browns called him when Bernie Kosar got hurt. And the guy's been a standout.
He really has been. I mean, he knows his role. He walked in the room yesterday and he had a pretty good idea they were going to beat the Vikings. Oops.
Leroy Horde takes the ball straight ahead and gets to the 32-yard line. John Randall and Henry Thomas, the 2 tackles combined on the stop.
Don't try to run a draw against the Vikings, because I'm going to show you exactly what's going to happen. Watch how long this play takes to develop. The offensive line can't hold it that long. Tomczak goes all the way back to Horde. When he goes back to Horde, so is the defensive line. They're coming back with him because he's the quarterback. They're going to chase the ball. They chase him back in the backfield, make the sack for a loss.
Now we have Tomczak calling a timeout. See, something that he wasn't quite certain of, with 3 minutes and 19 seconds to play in the first half, as the Browns working their game plan, which was well articulated to us yesterday by Coach Belichick and his coordinator on defense, Nick Saban. And so far the Browns have been making all those X's and O's work perfectly. Number 22 rated offense following last Sunday's game, but today they've more than doubled the offensive output of the Vikings ball.
Jack Del Rio said yesterday, I would be very surprised if we don't shut down the Cleveland Browns. Well, Jake, not yet.
Precisely what he said. Minnesota comes in the upper echelon, both offensively and defensively. The Vikes come in with a 9th rated offense and the 9th rated defense. 3rd down and 7 now for Tomczak, and here comes the rush of the Vikings. Swings it out. Well done play. Metcalf is running 1st down and more as he is out across midfield. Todd Scott finally brought him down, number 38. Michael Jackson throwing a block for Eric Metcalf, so the Browns rip off a big gainer on 3rd down and 7.
When Metcalf comes out of the backfield, now the blitz is on. You see Dolman going by. Todd Scott is the guy that's going to end up catching him. Now, I think that was his man coming out of the backfield. Michael Jackson gets caught up inside, and he gets hit along with it. That play went, what, 18 yards? Well, I just cannot believe that Metcalf, the only guy in the backfield, can come out of the backfield all by himself.
Tony Dungy was saying before the game, as they now attend to Michael Jackson, banged up throwing the block. Dungy was saying, he put Metcalf in a lot of different places, Paul, and he's awful tough to cover anywhere you put him.
Okay, you see this from that end. They're taking Michael Jackson off. You see Scott 38. If we could go back and show this to you one more time, I want to show you something. And where Scott is at fault here, he has to be, because he gets caught up inside, and his man is Metcalf. All right, let me just show you something. Hold on. Right here, here's Scott, and here's Metcalf. Now, he's looking through the backfield at Metcalf. Now, when this happens, you clear that for me, please, with your big fingers. There it is. Now, watch what happens to Scott. He steps up. When he does that, Metcalf's already back to the outside. You see what happens? Now, look who's the chase man. It's Scott. There's nobody out there with Metcalf. That has to be Scott's man. And now he's trying to run him down. It's too late. Excellent call.
Excellent call indeed. An 18-yard gain on a 3rd and 7 play. And so with 3 minutes to play in the first half, the Browns keep the drive going. Tomczak has now hit 7 of 10 passes for 125 yards. He said, I like to play here, and he's liking it even more today as his string of good games in the Metrodome continues. Pump fake. Now he lofts it out. Little too much on it. Sean Collins, number 80, was the intended receiver. It'll bring up 2nd down and 10. Noga was putting the pressure on Tomczak.
The intended receiver was Tillman, trying to get downfield and get deep on that fake, that pump fake, and get him deep. And excellent coverage by the secondary. The one thing the Cleveland Browns are doing, Crick, controlling the clock.
Yeah, they've done that.
They've scored 10 points, and they're sitting on the clock. This is when time of possession means something, that you can keep that ball away from that offense of Minnesota. The Minnesota Vikings offense, they have done nothing.
Markers down as the play is whistled dead.
It's got to be against the offense, because I'll tell you why. Even though Dolman went offside, he didn't touch anyone. The defensive man can always come back. And if he's offside, they'll let the play run. The offensive man has to move.
False start. Number 66. Prior to the snap.
Tony Jones, watch this. 66. You see it right there. Now, see Dolman trying to get back? I don't know where Jones does much but flinch. I mean, but you can't do that. Once you're set, boy, that you talk about a picky call. That was not flagrant at all. But I guess the shoulder movement, there was so much heat on that Monday night game with Marino. I think everybody's looking at it.
Yeah, Marino drew the Bills offsides 4 times in that game with shoulder hitches, and they never called it.
And I think Belichick wants a timeout.
2 minutes and 40 seconds to go in the first half. They didn't see him, so they'll play on. Second down, and the Browns need 15. Leroy Horde. Oh, a big ex-Wolverine. Pounds away, comes across midfield, and gets down close to the 48-yard line. Felix Wright, the former Clevelander, makes the stop for the Vikings.
The Vikings take a timeout. Jack Del Rio wants a timeout. They want the ball back. All right, here's Horde. Is he a load? We saw him earlier in the game. They pulled the off tackle and guard, and Horde cuts back up in the middle. There's a couple of missed tackles right there, but Felix Wright, ex-Cleveland Brown, gets up, gets him around the ankles, and brings him down. He'll bring him up a third and about 8.
Dennis Green, the coach of the Vikings, said yesterday that we are in a turnaround process, and it's up to the players. He said this is still an emerging team, a team coming together, and he's not above cutting some people if he doesn't think they deliver the goods. He can make changes.
Didn't you enjoy talking to him?
Tremendous.
Dennis Green, you talk about honesty. This guy just sat up and said, hey, look it. You don't have a bad game in the National Football League, folks. You know, you're paid $500,000 a year. You better perform, or we don't want you around here. I think the interesting thing that he said, you know, he made some cuts, some trades and things that he did. There were 19 guys that he got rid of from last year's team. And the interesting thing about it, there are only 3 of them in the National Football League today.
He's a disciple of Bill Walsh, and Bill Walsh would say it to anybody who'd listen. Somebody should give Dennis Green a chance to coach in the NFL because he's going to be a good one. That record at Stanford is misleading because he turned that program completely around and had an 8-win season his last season there. Henry Thomas is on the stop.
Another quarterback sneak. Now, folks, when you see this quarterback sneak, the Vikings taking another timeout. But when you see the quarterback sneak, this is between Tom Zach and the center. He said he taps Hilgenberg. You see Hilgenberg taking off? Really, the other offensive linemen, they don't know that much about what's going on because this is just a hand movement between Tom Zach and the center, and they go. If he reads, the defensive linemen are split apart. You see, all right, see how wide they are? Look at right to the center. Can we go back with this thing? I would love to show this again and show you on a telestrator what happens. And Henry Thomas is the guy that makes the play on it. If we get a chance, we'll show it to you again on what happens from that angle. Here, take a look. Look at out here. Here's Tom Zach and Hilgenberg here, but right out here and out here. Watch what happens. He taps. I want to clear this bit. Never mind. There it is. And when Tom Zach does that, both defensive linemen read it very well, and they're in on the play. That's his own individual call.
They've seen it twice now. Here's Hansen angling a punt to the near side, something that he's expert at. And Anthony Parker is forced into a fair catch at the 9-yard line as Cleveland gets people down under the high hanging punt of Hansen. So the Vikes get the ball again, but they get it deep in their own end, 91 yards from the Cleveland end zone with 2:12 remaining to be played in the first half.
They actually have 2 timeouts because they have 1 on the clock and 1 at the 2-minute warning. So they've got to move the ball upfield. I mean, they've got to get it upfield. And so far, they haven't been able to do that. Now, the Browns are going to go with their nickel package, which is 6 defensive backs, which is a dime package. Only 1 linebacker.
Gannon is picked off. Mike Johnson with his 2nd turnover of the day. What a player.
I mean, what a great play. Gannon has no business throwing this football because he had a wide open area to run the ball in. I know that you can't run the ball because you're trying to conserve the clock, but you're going down to 2 minutes anyway. The clock is going to stop. Gannon would have probably picked up anywhere from 8 to 10 yards, but Mike Johnson plays it beautifully. 59 is in your screen. He's going to come out in coverage. When Gannon rolls out, look what happens. The only guy outside is Matthews. If he would have stepped up and run there before Matthews hit him, it would have been fine. But he throws. The only middle linebacker in the game, Johnson, he makes the catch on Chris Carter. He was in business.
Rich Gannon goes to the sideline. You're not going to outsmart Mike Johnson. He was an academic All-American in engineering at Virginia Tech. He's undersized, but makes more plays than anybody on the Cleveland defense. Their leading tackler season after season. Mike Merriweather and Al Noga are on the stop as we're down to the 2-minute warning. So And the Browns, a surprise leader, are threatening again.
I mean, excellent defensive deal. Minnesota Vikings, no points. That'll tell you something.
Stover kicks off. It'll carry into the end zone. And Darren Nelson wisely downs the ball. The Vikings will go from their 20, first down and 10, but they don't have much to go with. They have only 64 ticks left on the first half clock.
Now they only have one timeout. And I'm hearing that little sound again. Are they saying you, or is that a booth?
There's been some booing.
There's a lot of empty seats here, Crick, even though this is a sellout.
Booing is no good. It makes the players feel bad, and it disturbs those who dozed off. And the Viking offense doesn't have anybody on the edge of their seats just yet, but it can strike. Here's a throw downfield. Jordan living courageously, if dangerously, coming into the teeth of the defense. At Eric Turner on the Browns 29 will absolutely knock you over to St. Paul. This guy is a killer hitter.
Crick, watch how he times this ball on Jordan. Here comes the ball. Watch Turner. Watch 29.
This guy.
Boom, the ball's there, and he's there at the same time. He's coming off. Barnett comes in for him.
See, Rich struggled a bit last week. And today, the struggle continues. He's only put up one touchdown throw in the last 5 games now.
Remember we did the Houston, we were talking about Cleveland at the Houston game, and you hate to bring up old stuff, but let me explain something. You see the numbers on Gannon? 18 yards. Remember what Moon had at the halftime? 19?
Yeah.
I mean, that tells you about defense.
Nick Saban is the defensive coordinator for the Browns. They change up a lot on you. You're not sure what you're going to see when you play Cleveland. They move in the dime package with extra defensive backs, and they'll position them in different places. Very difficult for quarterbacks to tell whether they're playing zone or man-to-man. He's constantly changing what his defensive backs do, and subsequently it gives the quarterback difficulty in making the read, and a lot of times they have to wait longer than they like to release the ball. Pittsburgh doing well again today.
They are the biggest surprise, I think, in the NFL. We get them in a couple of weeks.
Looks like Eric Turner might have turned an ankle. Gonna walk it off. Roger Craig and Keith Henderson in the Vikings backfield now as Gannon stands in. Lofted a long ball. Chris Carter trying to run under it, and Minifield with excellent one-on-one coverage. Frank Minifield, 3 times a Pro Bowl cornerback, number 31, running stride for stride with Chris Carter.
I think Minifield's a little upset. He's limping. I mean, Chris Carter just gave him a little shove at the end of it and said, excuse me, can you get out of my way? Watch this. Coming in. Now watch what Carter does to Minifield. Right here. Watch the shove. Bing. Pushes him out of the way. Minifield is limping. You got Turner limping.
Give you an idea how the Browns have shut down the Viking offense. Carter, the Vikings' top receiver, has only 1 catch today for 4 yards. Anthony Carter has none. Chris Carter with 1 catch. Here's a swing pass, and it goes to Chris Carter. He's a former Ohio State Buckeye. Waived by the Eagles, and he's been a terrific player since the Vikings picked him up.
Now they're booing again because it's 4th down, and they have to punt the ball away. You can't give it back to Cleveland and go for it here. You're inside the 30-yard line coming out. Gives Cleveland another chance. And Minifield he is limping off the field. I don't know whether he pulled a muscle or it looks like he pulled something. And he is limping off. That's two defensive backs in 2 plays.
Another punt. Hit downfield by Newsom, his 4th punt of the day. I don't know if that touched Eric Metcalf or not.
Touched the ball.
We'll see what the official says. Let's see what this is all about. We have no touchdown signal.
There is no touchdown signal. Now, the thing about it is you cannot pick up the punt, return, and advance it. The ball would be marked down there if in fact...
It would be a muff if they...
Yeah, it's a muff, but you can't advance it. I don't know what Metcalf was doing. He's running at the ball, and he tried to get out of the way of it at the last second. But the defense is coming on the field. I see Mike Johnson out there. There's Matthews. But you cannot advance it to the end zone. All right, here comes the play of Metcalf. Does he touch it here?
Let's see.
Obviously he did.
No,
The ball hit his foot. Now watch him turn and go for the ball because he knows it hit his foot. He's going back. Otherwise he wouldn't have. He'd have just walked away from it. Novoselsky is the guy that was down there making the play.
We're waiting for the official signal. The Vikings think they have the football. Here's Pat Haggerty.
The ball was touched by the receivers, then recovered by the kickers. First down.
See, you can't take it into the end zone. You can't advance it, but you can recover it. I really honestly think if Metcalf, watch this, if he just goes away from the ball, I don't think the official really saw it. Because look at this, it just clicks him.
Yeah,
He's the one that shows the official when he turns now to run for the ball, he gives it up.
That second look certainly told the story. Our producer today for NBC Sports is Terry Eward. Our director, John Gilmartin. Executive producer Terry O'Neill, as the Vikings now get a chance to get back in the game. 34 seconds to play in the first half, and they have it first and goal.
And they still have a timeout.
Metcalf's had his problems holding on to the ball in recent games. And that was just a freak thing where it clipped the back of his heel. He was just trying to get out of the way of the punt.
Rick, you've got 34 seconds and a timeout. In 34 seconds, you can throw the ball 4 times.
Yep, absolutely.
But you also, in a situation like this, on first down, you have a chance to run the ball. There's a time in here once that you can run the ball. Now, whether you want to run it on first down, second down, or third down, I would put that ball up in the end zone on all 4 downs. I'm not even thinking field goal. Field goal means nothing to you.
Officially, that punt was 66 yards by Newsom. That's what set the whole thing up.
Minifield is back in the game.
Let's see what Gannon does now as the Cleveland defense is backed up.
I think you throw it.
They go into the Anthony Carter. It's almost intercepted. They did a wide receiver end around. Anthony Carter threw the ball about as well as I could because Vince Newsom had his hands on it and almost picked it off.
Trying to throw the ball to Jordan. You know, if the guy's not open, look at all those white shirts are in the end zone. Yeah, that's one pass. That's the wrong one. Let a quarterback throw the ball. Look at this. Carter comes out. I'm sorry, Anthony. You're right, Crick. You might have been able to throw a little bit better. Because you guys still have 4 years of eligibility at Notre Dame.
That's right.
Look at the white shirts.
All my eligibility.
All over the place.
And don't plan on using it. Second down and goal now for the Vikings. 29 seconds to play in the half. Here's a lofted timing pattern. Cleveland intercepts. Terry Taylor. So the Browns defense delivers again, and Gannon's long day continues.
Rick, I swear to you, it looked like Taylor was in the pattern and not Anthony Carter. It was, watch 24, watch Taylor. He knows what's going to happen. Watch him turn. He's in the pattern. He's running a good move. He's into the corner. The ball's perfect. Taylor catches it and scores. Except he's on the wrong team. But watch this. I mean, it really is great coverage by Taylor. He's in the pattern. That is terrific. That man is talking to himself.
First and 10 for the Browns at their 20.
So the Browns dodge a bullet. Metcalf didn't dodge the punt, but now Cleveland will run out the half and take their 13-0 lead to the locker room as the Vikings go off to a chorus of boos. And Coach Green is going to have some things to say, and there's not going to be a lot of happy chatter in that Viking locker room.
I thought the player said that these fans aren't very vocal.
This guy can get his point across.
I think his point will be well taken when he gets here.
Very much to the point. So the Cleveland Browns coming in as a big underdog again. Move out now by a 13-0 lead. We'll be back with the Domino's Pizza NFL Live halftime report after these messages from your local stations.
This is the Domino's Pizza NFL Live halftime report, brought to you by Domino's. Nobody knows like Domino's how you like pizza at home.
Welcome to those of you watching games that have reached halftime in Miami, in Minnesota, and in Pittsburgh. Bob Trumpy is our guest in the studio this week. The Juice is here, of course. They're coming up in a moment, but first let's get you updated. Houston leads over Miami 13-10, halftime at Joe Robbie. Some highlights from that game. Warren Moon, of course, not in uniform, out 3-6 with the fractured left arm. Cody Carlson comes in and has them in front 10-0 after this 5-yarder to the AFC's leading receiver, Haywood Jeffries. The spike and then the Moon celebration for the 10-0 lead. Houston 6-4 in the middle of a 3-game road trip, which began with a victory at Minnesota last Sunday. After struggling through much of the first half, Marino was able to go deep to the wide-open Freddie Banks for the 39-yard touchdown, and that pulled them to within 13-10, which is where they stand at halftime. Marino unofficially 6 of 16, the touchdown and 1 INT in the first half. Atlanta and Buffalo, the 8-2 Bills leading the 4-6 Falcons at the half, 38-7. It was 38-0, and then just before halftime, following a Steve Christie field goal, Buffalo kicked off. There were 2 laterals on the kickoff return by the Falcons, and it wound up in the hands of, yes, Deion Sanders, who went the last 66 yards for the touchdown. But prior to that, Jim Kelly had thrown 2 touchdown passes. Kenneth Davis had run for 2 scores, including a 64-yarder. Davis has 147 yards rushing, and Thurman Thomas has 103 at the half. Philadelphia and the Giants are tied at 20-20, almost to halftime. After a Herschel Walker touchdown reception from Randall Cunningham, Roger Ruzek missed the point after. That could prove to be important as this game goes along. Dave Meggett has a 92-yard kickoff return for a Giant TD. The game is even at Giant Stadium. In the game some of you folks are watching, Cleveland with the 13-0 halftime lead at the Metrodome. Highlights from that game, Dennis Green's team blew the Browns out 56-3 during the preseason, but today, on the opening drive, Browns quarterback Mike Tomczak goes deep down the left sideline to wide receiver Lawyer Tillman, and the barreling Barrister comes up with a 56-yard gain. That set up a field goal and a 3-0 lead. In the first quarter still, Rich Gannon fumbling the snap. Michael Johnson is able to recover for Cleveland. The Browns capitalize on the turnover as Kevin Mack takes it in from a yard out. That gave them a lead of 10-0. Which they extended to 13-0 on another Matt Stover field goal. And then, after Eric Metcalf was unable to handle a punt, the Vikings had an excellent opportunity to score just before the half, but there you saw the poorly thrown ball by Rich Gannon intended for Anthony Carter, and Terry Taylor picked it off to snuff out the threat by the Vikings, who trail 13-0. But remember now, this is a team that has feasted on the NFC Central and has not done well outside the division, and they're in danger of losing their 3rd consecutive home game. Perhaps this one to Cleveland and earlier to Houston and Washington in succession. Pittsburgh and Indianapolis at Three Rivers. The Steelers 7-3, the Colts 4-6, a 13-0 lead at home for the Steelers, who are being directed today by Bubby Brister. Let's look at some of what's gone on in that ball game. He is in, Brister I'm speaking of, for the injured Neil O'Donnell. There is Bubby, and he'll rely on Barry Foster, who has 98 yards rushing in the first half, and Foster will bust through here. Wide open, huge hole on the left side, and then some nice running to take it in for the 20-yard touchdown and the 7-0 lead. On to the second quarter, and Brister will throw the screen pass to Foster, and Foster will cover 42 yards on the catch and run down to the Indianapolis 14-yard line, set up a 31-yard field goal by Gary Anderson, who later added a 22-yarder, and Pittsburgh has the lead at the half, 13-0. Detroit is at Cincinnati. It's a Jason Hansen versus Jim Breach field goal battle. Hansen leads at 3-2, and thus it's 9-6 Lions early in the 3rd. Green Bay at Chicago, both teams 4-6, and at Soldier Field, the Packers leading the struggling Bears 10-3 in the 3rd. Let's talk about the Dolphins and the Oilers here, Trump.
One of the things I've noticed is that over the last couple of weeks, if you go back to Monday night, Dan Marino's had trouble with the ball bouncing through players' hands. If we go back to the Monday night game against Buffalo, this is Keith Jackson, ball off his hands, intercepted by Jones, a big turnover for the Buffalo Bills. And then today, again, a ball over the middle to Duper, tipped up, Dishman comes up the interception. My point is, 20 years ago, defenses tried to funnel receivers outside to the sideline, basically take them out. Now defenses are trying to get them to the inside. You find a lot of receivers with short arms. If the quarterback doesn't throw that ball between the numbers, you're going to see a lot of those balls tipped away, and I don't blame the receivers. The inside area is I think, reserved for the tight end, and there's a lot of very small receivers out there trying to play tight end.
Used to be your private playground.
Thank you very much.
Saying. Juice, go ahead.
I think Don Shula's got to be really concerned with the Dolphins' ability to protect Marino. He's a guy who has a quick release. He normally gets rid of the ball, doesn't take a lot of sacks. He's been sacked 7 times in the last 6 quarters, so they got a big concern there.
Okay. Our concern here is showing you these commercial messages, and when we come back, we'll talk about the plight of the Raiders, who later today take on the Broncos at the Coliseum in L.A. Gail Gardner joins us after this.
This is the Domino's Pizza NFL Live Halftime Report, brought to you by Domino's. Nobody knows like Domino's how you like pizza at home.
Okay, Gail Gardner is here for a look at the Raiders, who play the Broncos later today in the doubleheader game most of you will see. Now, Denver has some question marks concerning their performance, even though they lead the division. But the Raiders only wish it were a question mark, because the jury pretty much is back, and they're not among the elite teams anymore.
Not anymore. There are quite a few reasons for that. We're going to expound upon them a little bit. You know, in the history of pro football, Bob, there have been no teams that could get a rise out of fans and opponents like the Raiders. You watched with passion, you watched with love and with hate. This was not a club you could be indifferent about. The silver and black were burned into our collective psyche. But in the last 9 years, the Raiders have evolved into the oldest team in the NFL. They've played 500 ball, and the commitment to excellence has lost some of its sheen.
You're unbelievable.
They were unbelievable, imposing and tough as nails. Through the 3-decade reign of Al Davis, the Raiders still remain the winningest franchise of any pro sport. But since 1983, when the club won its 3rd Super Bowl, the Raiders no longer strike fear in the hearts of opposing clubs. And after somewhat of a 2-year resurgence under Art Shell, at 4-6, they've dug a deep hole for themselves in a season where they had planned to pass through Pasadena.
There's been a lot of people around here that have come from a lot of winning traditions. Nobody has ever gone through a streak like this, and we're all kind of learning how to deal with it, you know, together, and Art included. We just got to hang tough.
We've just been making too many mental errors, and we're not making enough plays. If you got stars, stars got to play like stars, and then they bring the rest of them up. If those stars are not making plays, then the rest of them start looking around and say, hey, this guy's not making a play. What's going on here?
You have stars throughout the team. And I feel that sometimes on the team we expect stars to make plays for us, to carry us. And that's very tough. The young guys have to play well. The stars are going to have to play like stars, and the good players are going to have to play great.
You know, you can't do it on 7 carries or 10 carries. For myself as a running back to be successful, you have to get into what I call a groove. And all season, I have never hit a groove.
I really feel this team would be better off with less guys on the team, because at the same time, when you have Eric and Marcus and Nick and Tim and Willie, you know, it becomes a situation where you start to wonder, well, maybe, you know, it's a team with too many players and not enough balls.
We have to all look ourselves in the mirror. We can't point fingers at anyone. We have to look at ourselves. We have 6 more games, and it's imperative and this urgency, a sense of urgency that we win these 6 games. We have to do that. And because when it's all said and done, you're going to be judged by if you're successful, if you win. And, you know, I want to be known as a winner. I'm sure my teammates do too.
Well, they could win today because Denver is not a very good road team, and that would spark some hope. But like Willie Gault says, you don't almost have to run the table, and I don't think they can do it.
They have to run the table. They have a really difficult road to hoe because they have 2 games against the Chargers, and the Chargers all of a sudden are playing very well. They played the Chiefs, they played the Dolphins on the road, and they wind up with the Redskins at RFK, which is never easy, as you know.
They're done.
They're done.
And
done
so,
did.
And so are we. Thank you, Gail. NFL Live halftime activities will continue.
A surprise at the Metrodome, and not a happy one for the Minnesota Vikings and their fans, as the underdog Browns have a 13-0 lead. The Vikings, Paul Maguire, with only 26 yards passing in the first half. You wonder if maybe Coach Green is thinking about a quarterback change.
I don't see any reason why he wouldn't. I mean, Salisbury's not a bad quarterback, and Gannon's not doing anything. So at least try to get, you know, something moving. I would not be surprised if that happens. I don't know if it's going to, but I would guess that they should.
Now we're going to find out right now as the Viking offense comes out. There's no quarterback out there yet. Here comes Sean Salisbury. Changing pitchers are the Vikings, trying to change their luck.
It's a good move, Crick. It really is. I mean, you can always go back to Gannon. It's not a slap in the face if you're not doing a job. And we talked to Green, and he told us yesterday, if you're not doing a job, you don't belong on the field.
Salisbury swings it out to tight end Steve Jordan, and he is out to the 45-yard line. A first down on the first throw by Sean Salisbury, a former quarterback of Southern California. 12-yard gain on the play.
You know, the other thing about it, when you have a guy like Salisbury, he's a guy that you haven't seen that much of. So the Cleveland Browns obviously have not seen that much of Salisbury. It's a new look, a new wrinkle. You don't know what he's going to do.
He's back to throw again. This time he's a bit behind his receiver, Anthony Carter, who caught no passes at all in the first half, as we look now at the Coors Light halftime stats. And the numbers, no, not for the favored Vikings. Points off takeaways, 10 points for the Browns. Off Mike Johnson's fumble recovery. They later scored off a drive, 55-yard drive. And Mike Johnson with an interception. They scored a field goal off that. 3 turnovers.
And offensively, the Browns kept the Minnesota Vikings off the field.
Browns defense with 3 takeaways. The Viking offense with 3 turnovers. Handoff. Looking for room is Terry Allen. He's been quiet. The top runner for the Vikings as he's shut down by Anthony Pleasant.
You know, Crick, I tell you about this offense, how they're so botched up. Look at these possessions. They had one series of downs with 7 plays. And after that, nothing. Absolutely nothing. And that's solid defense by the Browns.
Salisbury signed with the Vikings back in '89 as a free agent after starring up in Winnipeg in the Canadian Football League. Downfield throw. He had a wide open receiver coming across the middle, Joe Johnson, but the throw was high.
Joe Johnson was 6'12". He couldn't catch that ball, but being a little rusty. What I was saying, on the first down in this here series of downs, they threw a pass to Jordan, completed. On the next down, when they ran a pass play, downfield, they had 3 wide receivers downfield, and there wasn't one guy beyond 9 yards beyond the line of scrimmage. You've got to get some people downfield.
Newsom is in for his 5th punt of the day. Browns put a big rush on. High punt, knocked downfield. Coming up on the ball is Metcalf. He lets it carry him into the end zone. He got away from that one. And it took a pop favoring the Browns. On the touchback, the ball comes out to the 20-yard line, first down and 10. Coming up next on most of these NBC stations, 2 of the best in the AFC West. Longtime rivals, the Broncos and the Raiders, meet at the Coliseum in Los Angeles. Some of you will see the Jets go against the Patriots and their new quarterback, Scott Zolak, in New England. Check your local listings. A doubleheader day on NBC Sports. 13:35 to play in the 3rd quarter. Just getting underway. Don Criqui with Paul Maguire at the Metrodome in Minneapolis, where the Vikings have lost their last 2 games. Vikings are 3-2 at home this year, 4-1 on the road. Hamzak with a perfect lead gets the ball out, and Leroy Horde sure hands the ball. Doesn't get a lot of yardage, but it is plus yardage out close to the 25-yard line.
Somebody better tackle Leroy Horde. Merriweather, number 57, has the first shot. Now, a little flip out to the outside. Tomzak leads him perfectly. Watch this. Miss. Miss. Miss, miss. And he's still up. You got to put him on the ground. That was almost a 5-yard gain of something that should have been a 1 or 2 yard gain.
2nd down and 5. The give is to Kevin Mack. He turns it up and turns it ahead, and he has a Cleveland Browns first down out to the 31-yard line. If the Browns should hold on and win this game and they hold a 13-0 lead, they would go to 6-5 and be very much in the playoff hunt, because they've beaten the 2 best teams in their division in their first meetings. They've beaten the Steelers and the Oilers, and the Browns have a couple of big games coming up at Cleveland Stadium. The Chicago Bears come into Cleveland Stadium to take on Coach Belichick's Browns next Sunday. There are still tickets available for that game, and then the Bengals come in. Tickets still available for that. This could catapult the Browns right into a playoff contender. But let's see what the Vikings do the rest of the way as they turn in a big defensive play. Carlos Jenkins goes up high, tips the ball, and knocks it away.
Well, there's a situation where really Tom Zach tried to force the ball into Michael Jackson, because Carlos Jenkins is a linebacker, 51, left of the screen. Watch him get back and get his hand up. That's outstanding defense. Now Mack, 34, slipping out of the backfield, was open. Don't be afraid to throw that little dump pass. I mean, this is a pass where you're trying to force the ball, and you got too many people back there covering. They're giving you the swing pass out of the backfield. Go ahead and take it.
Tom Zach. Whoa, it could be a pick, but the Vikings can't grab it. Carlos Jenkins had a play on the tip ball but couldn't intercept, and the Browns dodge another bullet as they've not turned the ball over today.
You've got some Minnesota Vikings, and they are, yeah, on a muff play, but watch, you got guys are flying through the air. Look at these guys. I mean, it's incredible that the defense is hustling. Now here's the ball tipped up in the air. Jenkins again gets his hands on the ball, almost has a chance, but watch Mack. Boy, Mack is right there to make sure if you do catch it, you're going down.
Cleveland Browns offense with no turnovers. Minnesota offense with 3 turnovers. Tom Zach is now 8 of 15 for 130 yards throwing the ball. Metcalf does a little of this, a little of that, and finally goes out of bounds for a gain of only 3 yards. So a good series by the Viking defense as the Browns offense goes 3 downs and out on their opening possession of the 3rd quarter.
And Metcalf's limping. That's a 3rd guy. Minifield came back on and played on defense, but we did not see on the defense Turner. Now we see Metcalf limping.
Anthony Parker's going to go back deep now for the Vikings. Here's the snap. Ryan Hansen hits the punt for Cleveland.
This is a low line driver. Look out.
Parker breaks it. One man to beat. Can he beat Johnson? He cannot. Johnson gets him out of bounds. But a big return, and the Vikings now hear the cheers come from the stands. Something they've not heard much of today.
Rick, when you see that low line drive punt, and that's what you don't want the punter to do, watch how much room that Parker has here. He just makes 2 moves, and he's back to the outside. Mike Johnson, no way he was going to beat Mike Johnson. Watch Mike Johnson pin him to the sideline. That's just perfect defense. There's no place to go.
So the Vikings still scoreless on their home field. We'll try to get points in a moment.
The NFL on NBC is brought to you by Acura Automobiles. Experience precision-crafted performance. By GTE, telecommunications consultant to the NFL. By Plus System. Plus marks the spot for cash when you travel at cash machines coast to coast and beyond. And by Canon. Canon cameras, so advanced, they're simple.
Back at the Metrodome, the Viking fans waiting for something to happen on the offensive side, and so is Coach Dennis Green. His favorite Vikings have been shut out now into the 3rd quarter of play by the Cleveland defense.
Hey, one thing that he will not do, folks, and that's make excuses for anyone. And Belichick won't either. I mean, these are guys that hey, you're being paid to play. Do the job.
Dennis Green says that's one of the things he learns from Bill Walsh. There's no excuses for not playing well. Either you play well or you don't. If the guy doesn't play well, you have to make a change. He made a change at quarterback to start the 3rd quarter. And Terry Allen rips his best game of the day. On a 1st down carry, he's ahead for almost 7 yards before outside linebacker David Brandon knocked him down. Miami getting back in the game with Houston. A big block on that run by Gary Zimmerman, the standout left tackle for the Vikings. Kenneth Davis having a career day. Herschel Walker. I remember him in Twin Cities. A lot of draft choices left when Herschel came. Hitting going on out there. Mike Johnson, 6'1", 230 pounds. Really very small as middle linebackers go. Only outstanding game after game, though.
Watch to the left of the screen, please. Watch 57, Clay Matthews. You talk about sacrifice your body. He takes out 2 players on that play.
Johnson.
And when Clay Matthews does that, he takes out the right guard and the right tackle. That's an outstanding play. You've got to sacrifice your body and help your friends make the play, and they did.
Vikings down 13-0, but still in the game. As Dennis Green said yesterday, in the NFL, you're never out of a game, and neither is the team you're playing. It changes fast. On a 3rd down and less than 2 play, the Vikings are close to a first down. Cedric Figueroa was on the stop from his linebacker position.
If they don't make it, I'd go for it. This is 4-down territory. I mean, field goal. You got those hosses up front. I'd have them measure it just to give me an idea where it's at. I mean, you can ask for a measurement.
Vikings have an excellent field goal kicker. Quadra Vase has hit 11 of 14 field goals this year. 2 for 2 outside the 50.
It's 3 for 3 outside the 50. 51 and 52. They're going for it.
Power set. Allen. I tell you, this could be close.
I tell you, it depends on where they mark it. You have to get the ball inside the 27-yard line.
You got to love the players, Paul. The Browns are all pointing it's going their way. The Vikings are all pointing it's first down for them.
The guy in the white hat will tell you in a second. But I'll bring the chains in. Randall McDaniel was in the backfield, number 64. He got a late start. Terry Allen was supposed to follow him in the hole. That ball's got to be inside. Here comes Brown's offense coming on the field. It's got to be inside the 27-yard line. If it's not inside the 27-yard line, they don't have it.
Coach Green was a 2-year starter at tailback for the Iowa Hawkeyes, who came in here last night and were upset by the Golden Gophers.
They didn't make this. It's Cleveland Brown ball.
Well, we're going to find out here.
Wait a minute.
Talk about a game of inches. Nose of the ball. And the Vikings get the first down at the 27-yard line, and Dennis Green breathes a bit easier.
All right, here's the pit, and see Randall McDaniel, the 64 going in. He blocks Mike Johnson. He gets an excellent block in it. The people are throwing bodies away. It's where they mark the ball. Now the marker, honestly, the marker was inside the 27-yard line going in towards the 26. The ball isn't even at the 27-yard line. That's why I'm surprised they made it.
Nice play fake by Salisbury. Buys time. He's got a lot of room to run. And you know he's heading right for the 12th man. Wisely bailing out. Clay Matthews in pursuit of him.
You know, here's the situation where everybody is covered downfield. Look at the blocking at the line of scrimmage. The heat is on. The rush is coming upfield. Bill Johnson is coming 94, along with Burnett. But watch this. He took off too late to run. Then he only picks up a few yards on a play, 4 or 5, where he could have picked up 8 or 9.
But he did get 4, making it 2nd down and 6. Oh, boy, there's a stick by Bill Johnson, indication of why, as a junior at Michigan State, he was projected as a high first-round pick. Hurt a knee his senior year. And ended up a 3rd-round pick, but the Browns think they really have something. Bill Johnson.
Look at Bill Johnson coming down the line of scrimmage. He just makes the hit. He is right there. Jones is also there. You know, here's a situation where you've got secondary people now. Don't be afraid in this part of the field to run a screen. You got the defensive linemen are coming upfield. Spread out the defense a little bit, and then maybe run a screen.
Well, let's see. They got a spread formation. 4 wide receivers are in the game. 1 running back. Salisbury on 3rd down. He needs 5, and he's not going to get it. Browns collapse the pocket, close in on Salisbury. And a long field goal attempt is coming up.
But, you know, it's a wasted fourth down situation if you're now going to kick a field goal. Here's Anthony Carter, Frank Minifield on the outside. Anthony Carter is open at that point. But you see what happens? You've got a tight end coming underneath that brings the defensive back out there. You can't throw the ball to him. Besides, Salisbury was being rushed. Now, if you went on fourth down in inches or a yard to pick it up, why kick the field goal now?
It'll be a 40-yard attempt by Fuad Reves, who's hit 11 of 14 field goals this season. It ain't the Vikings' day. It's good. It hooked in. Looks like it's starting to carry wide, but it's good. So Reves just gets it inside the upright, and finally Minnesota's on the board.
When you talk about Fuad Reves, and you know he's got 3 outside the 50, 51, 2, and 3, or 50, 51, and 52. Watch this ball, just inside the goalpost to give him 3. That's a little scary.
The Eagles have gone in front of the Giants now, 27-20. After trailing by a lot early. Here's the kickoff downfield, and Randy Baldwin returns it for the Browns. Across the 20 and out to the 28-yard line. Roger Craig, we're informed, has a sprained knee, and it's unlikely he'll return today for the Vikings. Rogers on the bench as the Minnesota defense comes out. Mike Tomczak leads the Browns offense back out. With 8:06 to play in the third quarter, a break in the action. We'll be back after this. Roger Craig was running hard. A sprained knee, though, has him on the bench right now. He grew up in Davenport, Iowa, not too far away from the Twin Cities.
When you see the guy taking his tape off, Crick, you know it's over.
Yeah. They got the right knee iced down.
There's no decision on whether he's going to be back. It's over for today, anyway.
Roger Craig, of course, an All-American runner for the Cornhuskers of Nebraska. First down for the Browns. They hold a 13-3 lead in the third quarter. The handoff goes to Tommy Vardell, and it's quickly shut down. Henry Thomas and middle linebacker Jack Del Rio on the tackle for the Vikings. Now Houston has rallied, or the Miami's actually rallied and tied up the Houston Oilers 13-all. Stoyanovich hitting a couple of field goals. Buffalo continues its rout of Atlanta.
They had 35 points with 14 minutes left to go in the second quarter. You know, the first play from scrimmage, the Cleveland Browns threw the ball to Bavaro. Don't forget about your tight end.
Jackson makes the reception.
Face
Good
mask.
defense, and
whoa, everybody got it.
3 markers come in on a face mask call. Audrey McMillan was the first to make the tackle. And here is the official word now as Pat Haggerty gets word from his back judge.
Face mask, number 26.
John McMillan.
Defense, 15-yard penalty.
Oh, that's a big one. Well, you saw all three officials throw it, but when you spin the guy around by his head, watch this. McMillan grabs him by the face mask. Watch him. Now, he doesn't let go. You see him spin him all the way around? That's not inadvertent face mask, and that's a good call, and especially when you see that great display of flags. 3 of them.
Coach Green talked about he doesn't want anybody getting in a comfort zone here because of the 3-game lead. The way the Viking season is going, they really still could have an easy command of this division if they lose today. Bears are losing again. Jackson takes it across midfield and down to the 47-yard line.
This was the screen set up on the outside, and the problem was that Jackson never got back to the people. Ed King and Dan Fike were out there blocking in front of him. And when the ball is thrown, watch, this ball's thrown right along the line of scrimmage. You see King and Fike are out front. Here's what happens. Michael Jackson never gets there. The defense, Del Rio and company, come in behind the blockers. You can't utilize them. They pick up 3 yards on the play.
Second down and 7. Tomczak play fake and lobs it long. Intercepted by Minnesota's Audrey McMillan. He's on the run. McMillan gets one block, then 2 and 3, and he brings it back to the 42-yard line. Hanging pass, too much airtime on it, and McMillan made the play.
He was trying to throw the ball to Tillman, and what happened? You see McMillan downfield. The reason for that is when Tomczak made the pump fake, McMillan just saw it early. He was deep enough. You should have never thrown that ball to that side because McMillan was already into the corner. When he seen this pump, bang, that didn't hold anybody. McMillan's now on Tillman. You see where McMillan is? There's no way to take the fake. He just makes the interception and stayed in bounds. Look at that. That's incredible.
Sean Salisbury takes a look. Tip ball up for grabs, and it falls incomplete. James Jones, number 96, appeared to be the guy got a hand on the ball for Cleveland.
Well, Pleasant and Burnett were in the backfield. They almost killed Salisbury. I mean, it didn't look like nobody even blocked anybody. I'm serious, you've got to run a screen or something to just slow these guys down a little bit. A screen to draw anything. The defensive linemen are just teeing off and coming. Give your offensive lineman a chance.
Salisbury. The ball slipped.
Salisbury saying my fault. You were right. You were open. I should have thrown the ball to you, to Henderson. Salisbury threw the ball too fast. I mean, Henderson is coming out there. Nobody's with him. Watch Henderson. He's going to come right in your face, folks. Watch how fast Salisbury throws this thing. Right now. It's just too soon. You have time. He knows it's his fault.
Now he needs 10 yards on a third down throw. Here comes the rush. Perry coming hard. And Salisbury again is way off target under the rush. Well, the Browns defense stops him again, Paul.
Well, Barnett was there on Jordan. If Jordan would have caught the ball, he might have lost his life. And then Salisbury threw the ball so hard, I mean, there's just no way to catch it. Jordan is actually blocking on the left. Watch Salisbury, no place to go. Michael Dean Perry's there. And then watch this. Look at his throw. I mean, by the time Jordan gets his hands up, the ball's already through. But had he caught it, Barnett would have hammered him.
So Newsom, who's been getting a workout today, comes out to punt for a 6th time. Having a big day, 52-yard average. Here's markers down before the snap of the ball. Vikings coming up with some very tough scheduling after today. They head out to Anaheim to play the Rams next Sunday. Then they go to Philadelphia. Play maybe the best team in the league, San Francisco, here the following week. Then they're at Pittsburgh.
Number 51 before the snap.
You know, I'm not opposed to putting Gannon back in the ball game now that he's settling down a little bit. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me to see him do that somewhere along the line. Because Salisbury, I mean, he completed his first pass, but after that, it's been absolutely nothing.
He looks completely out of sync with his receivers. But the Browns are also getting a big push right up the middle. Perry against double-team blocks has really been collapsing the pocket.
I mean, we're not taking anything away from the Cleveland Brown defense. We talked about that the first half, and it's continued on in here to the second half of the game. The defense is solid. Here they come.
Knuckleball that Eric Metcalf will take a look at. He won't go near it. It'll roll to a halt where it's down actually at the 22-yard line. So the Cleveland Browns send their offense back out with 5 minutes and 55 seconds to play in the third quarter. And the Browns continue to lead the game 13-3. Remembrances of Viking Browns games in the past. This was in December of 1980. A long ball lofted downfield. Ahmad Rashad, who caught 400 passes as a Viking, makes the play. And Minnesota beat Cleveland that day. Now Ahmad, an NBC broadcaster.
I went out and got that card, you know. 25 Bob Costas, so I got one Ahmad.
First down and 10 for the Cleveland Browns.
Offside defense. Now see, here's a classic example where the play is run. The defense is offside. But offensive man didn't move. He could run the play.
Denny Green said before this game, to be honest with you, we need to get into a hard-hitting game where both teams get a little
Offside.
mean out there.
Defense, number 92.
Said the Houston game was not a slugfest. Roy Barker was the man who jumped.
See, here it is. Watch Barker. Now, see, he's across the line of scrimmage. Now, the play is run. That's defense. Offensively, if the center would have moved, it would have been stopped right then. Becomes first down and 5.
Viking defensive line corps depleted somewhat as Gannon watches from the sideline after he was pulled at halftime. Brad Culpepper, a rookie, is out with a toe injury. He got hurt in the game today. John Randall has been playing terrific football for the Vikings. He's been hampered, has been limited in his play. Kevin Mack runs the ball on a first down and 5 play. Mack has it out to the 30-yard line. As you see, Houston now going back in front of Miami. Been a long time since the Browns have had a 100-yard rusher. Mack was the last. When do you think it was?
What do I think it was?
2nd and 3 for the Browns at their 30.
2nd down and 3 coming up.
Green Bay. Whoa! Mike Ditka, I wonder who's going to go after today.
Mark Bavaro with his first catch. Big guy takes a pounding and hands one out. It's a first down for Cleveland on Mark Bavaro's first reception of the day. Kevin Mack was the last 100-yard rusher in the game for the Cleveland Browns.
Actually, his second catch. It was so long ago, Crick. It was way back in the first play of the first half when Bavaro caught a ball. And then now here he is again. Here we go. 1988. You remember all this?
Well, that's the Leonard over Lalonde. That was certainly a significant part of boxing history. Over 60 games without a 100-yard rusher. But on the bottom line, the Browns in command of this one, 13-3 and with the ball. Out pattern, nicely done by Tomczak and Jackson, who's ahead to the 49-yard line.
Don't you? I mean, you just got to love what they're doing offensively, the Cleveland Browns. And what they're doing is just basic stuff. Short passes. They're not trying to take big chunks. The last time he did, he got it intercepted, Tomczak. But here it is. Throw to Michael Jackson. Lee comes up and makes the play. But it's good for a 7-yard gain. That's all you need. You control the ball. You control the clock. You get yourself in a position to kick another field goal, possibly a touchdown.
Clock ticking down in the 3rd quarter. 3 minutes and 25 seconds to play in it. Another quick timing throw and another well-thrown ball. Bavaro again the target as he runs an out. And Mark Bavaro appears to be ahead for another Cleveland first down.
Said a little while ago, don't forget about your tight end, Bavaro. That's 2 catches in the last 3 plays. And watch Bavaro. I mean, they're not forgetting about him, but he just knows how to get off the line of scrimmage. Carlos Jenkins is out there with him. But all Bavaro is supposed to do is get a first down. That's 2 of them in a row for him.
Maybe never has been a better blocking tight end than Bavaro. In the Super Bowl years with the Giants, he would cave in the side of the line. He still is a dominant blocker. He would take some of the best defensive ends in football and knock them off the screen. He's driving so far back. Kevin Mack turns it upfield and gets inside the 45-yard line. A first down carry good for about 4 yards as Mike Merriweather, a former Steeler MVP, it makes the stop for Minnesota.
All right, we'll take a look. You're talking about the great blocker. He's on Chris Dolman. What does he do? He's up into his face. He's up into his face. He
Takes him
turns
out of the
Dolman.
play.
He releases off of Dolman to try to get a piece of Merriweather. You know, that's what you do.
Get 2 with 1 bullet.
Yeah, well, you're going to get some help. Jones is out there with him. So he ends up picking up Dolman. Bavaro goes off onto Merriweather.
He plays with a lot of intensity, but to meet him, he's a very soft-spoken, quiet person, Mark Bavaro. Here's a throw to Eric Metcalf, and he puts on some moves. But the Vikings aren't buying him. They throw him down at about the 41-yard line, a gain of maybe 4 yards on the play. It brings up 3rd down for Cleveland.
You know, made a nice play on that play was Todd Scott. Not only does he misses the tackle, the initial tackle. Here it is, outside Metcalf. Watch 38. Comes in, Metcalf moves. Watch what he does. 38, back into the play again to help out. That's hustle. As Green said, saw him yelling out to the players, don't lose your poise.
On third down, the Browns need 2. Tomczak dodges trouble, gets it away, it's intercepted. Picked off by Audrey McMillan, so he's now intercepted Tomczak twice. Michael Jackson, the intended receiver. The good news is the Vikings have the ball back, but the bad news is they can't do anything with this Cleveland defense.
Watch this hustle. Scott is blitzing the safety, and Tomczak gets away from the blitz. He's trying to throw the ball back inside. But McMillan was there. I don't know what he was looking at. He makes the tackle. But look at Tomczak. He's trying to throw the ball inside. And you've got to square yourself up to make the throw. But watch what Tomczak does. All right, I'll make the tackle.
Browns defense extra sharp because all week long their #1 quarterback Bernie Kosar, who's back working out, was running the scout team, the Minnesota offense, and he said he really made it tough on the first team defense. Another big play by the Cleveland Browns as running down the quarterback is Rob Burnett, number 90.
This is a defensive secondary sack, Criqui. We see it so many times. Burnett, yeah, you make the play, but the reason that play is made is because, first of all, your hustle, but second of all, look at downfield. Salisbury has no place to throw the ball. Absolutely nowhere to throw the football. That's just good hustle by Burnett, though. I mean, he just stayed with it, but that's a secondary sack.
And that's a frontline hit. Terry Allen is popped by Everson Walls, the longtime Dallas Cowboy, who spent 2 years then with the New York Giants.
I'm going to say, I've never said it in the ball game, but Salisbury, somebody better settle him down. You're going to get one of your guys killed. That guy wasn't open. You can't just throw the ball out there because you see it in a second. You've got wide receivers. You've got second down in about 14, and to throw a 1-yard pass to get your back killed, that's crazy.
These are the kind of backs would like to throw back at you.
Oh, yeah, here, let me lateral to you.
There's a ball downfield. Man, what a timed hit that was. Harlan Barnett, who calls himself the bang stick, he just banged right at the right moment, came right in on time to pop Joe Johnson and knock the ball free.
Boy, I tell you, you talk about watch Minifield release Joe Johnson. He knows he's got, see him look outside. We're going to show you this one more time. And there's Barnett that makes the play. But Minifield saw him. All you got to do is, we'll come back if we have a chance later on to show this replay again. Watch Barnett is right there. But Minifield looked to his left, saw that he had help deep, and just released it. Watch him look to his left. Just watch his head. Minifield, see him? Okay, I'll release you now.
Yep. Here's the punt downfield, the 7th punt of the day for Newsom of the Vikings, and Eric Metcalf will run it back. Tough to beat the NFL coverers with fakes. Metcalf bought some time with some fakes, but then he ran out of time. We'll be back after these messages from your local station. Back at the Metrodome in Minneapolis in the preseason, the Vikings laid waste to the Redskins 30-0. They won 30-0, and then the Redskins beat them 15-13. Tommy Vardell runs the ball now for Cleveland. The Browns into the 4th quarter. Looking to move the yardsticks, pounding out the offense if they can, holding to their 13-3 lead. Phil Coxon at quarterback for Cleveland here in the 4th quarter, as they're going to go to a power offense as much as they can.
Well, they don't, I don't know if anything happened to Tomczak, but neither one of these coaches are hesitating about making a change. Tomczak is whistling. He's helping out. He looks all right. We'll find out. Numbers 2 interceptions that they don't like.
He played winning football, though.
Yes, he did.
Vardell turns it up, and he goes out of bounds at the 19-yard line. Todd Scott, the strong safety, number 38, comes out and gets him, along with the linebacker Jenkins.
Watch 57, Merriweather. All grabbed him. Wait a minute, I can get to the guy if you don't hold me.
We'll look for a report from the Cleveland bench, but indications are that Bill Belichick has just elected to go with a backup quarterback with this lead 13-3. Both teams have changed quarterbacks during the course of this game. The reasons were obvious why Gannon was pulled. He just wasn't getting it done. Vikings coming with a safety blitz. Todd Scott, 38, was the man who got there first. Noga's on top of the quarterback, but it was Todd Scott who got him.
They're not going to give it to Scott. They're going to give it to Noga because of what happened is that Wilcox got out of the play. Remember, Crick, there's no such thing as in the grass. Watch what happened. Scott comes up. Wilcox goes underneath. Now watch, he's still running with the ball. Here's where the sack is now. I would believe that Noga will get the sack and not Scott because Wilcox could have still been running with the football.
Cleveland's going to have to punt it now from inside their 5-yard line. End-over-end punt by Hansen. It's going to be fielded at the 48. Parker takes it inside the 45-yard line, and a marker's down. Frank Stamms on the special teams tackle for Cleveland.
Mike Johnson says holding against the Minnesota Vikings. Now, if it's after the play, it'll be tacked on. That'll be a 10-yard deal.
Personal foul, number 26, on the return.
Now, I want to tell you something. That's Ron Wolfley, but I was watching Michael Johnson, and Johnson saying, hey, it's holding against Minnesota. Don't trust the players, Crick. I just did.
The official sack is being given to Scott, believe it or not, Paul. We just got word on that.
They did?
And we also got word that Mike Tomczak is fine. They just decided to put in Phil Cox.
Wolfley, there's a guy from Buffalo.
He and his brother both played in the NFL.
It's going to be a 15-yard penalty from the end of the play. Give the Minnesota Vikings the ball at the 28-yard line.
Well, harkening back to what Dennis Green told us, Paul, that you're never out of an NFL game, and neither is your opponent. The Vikings very quickly could be right back in this. They're down by just 10 points with a lot of time left. 13-19 remains to be played. And right now, there's a timeout here at the Metrodome. With Paul Maguire, this is Don Criqui back at the Metrodome in Minneapolis. Cleveland Browns holding to a 13-3 lead. Has been only 3 points scored in the second half. Had a field goal by the Vikings that they finally got on the board. Now they have the ball first down and 10 inside the Cleveland 30-yard line. Salisbury pitches back. This is Terry Allen running hard. He breaks a tackle and scoots ahead down to the 23. Getting on a play of almost 6 yards. Steve Jordan and Tim Irwin blocking well.
Watch Jordan, 83. You know, you talk about Bavaro. Now he's blocking on the defensive end. Watch this. He's getting a little help to the inside, but Jordan's there. Nice double team. Open up the hole, you pick up 4 yards.
Chicago Bears falling to the Packers today. Ditka's stock falling with them. Allen darts back on a 2nd down and 6 play. He gets close to the 21-yard line. Rob Burnett, the tackler for the Browns.
Yeah, the guy that makes this play is Stephon Moore, number 27. He cuts it back to the inside and gets help from his defense. Now, second half. Remember, we only saw 1 drive of 7 plays in the first half for the Vikings. They got an 8-play drive and ended up with a field goal. But still, you got 3 other drives. Punt, punt, punt.
Indicator of how well the Browns defense has been playing. The Vikings have converted only 2 of 11 third down tries. This is a 3rd down and 3. They convert it. 3 of 12 as Keith Henderson, a big former 49er, turns it upfield and gets a first down for the Vikings inside the 20-yard line. Game clock with a lot of time left, 11:40 to play.
He gets behind Randall McDaniel, number 64. Watch this. There's McDaniel. He gets a block up Pleasant on the outside, knocks him back, and that enables Henderson to get the first down. Good block. You see another overtime game? We just had one, didn't we?
Yeah, that's a good one. It's a long way from an overtime game. Here's Salisbury throwing, and a terrific catch by the Pro Bowl tight end. Steve Jordan makes a diving reception at the 3-yard line. First down and goal, Vikings.
This, I would say, Jordan, it tells you why this guy went to the Pro Bowl. We saw him block. Now watch the hands. This ball is way outside. Look at the catch he makes. That is outstanding. There is just no chance for more, number 27. He was on him in coverage, but Jordan makes a play that's remarkable.
He's the Vikings' all-time leading receiver. Came into the game today with 424. Remember the last time the Vikings were down here, they were intercepted in the end zone. Allen turns it up, and Cleveland gets him. No gain. It'll be second and goal. Mike Johnson again leads the tacklers. Stevan Moore also made a play.
And Clay Matthews, there's only, you have the two linebackers that are on the field, and man, they just made 57 and 59. Clay Matthews, when I looked at him down on the field, and I would say he's amazing. He's 36 years old, 15 years in the league. He looks like he's about 24. I look like I'm about 36.
That's all.
Yeah, he'll be all right.
The man is bulletproof, Matthews. Oh, man, what a stick. Whew. You could hear that up here like it was next door.
59. You know who he is?
This guy's some player, Mike Johnson.
I mean, can you hear that popping? Here it comes. Watch this. You're going to cut back inside, and look who hits you. 59 and 57. They just did it on the other side. Watch these two guys, 59 and 57, Matthews and Johnson. Boom!
This is third down now. Salisbury running out of time, fires the ball. It's taken in for a touchdown. Joe Johnson. That's a catch, son.
That's two great catches. Joe Johnson from Notre Dame.
Well, at Notre Dame, he was Joe Small Wonder Howard.
He was Joe, well, when he got married, he must have changed his name. Huh? They do that at Notre Dame, I guess. Well, look at this throw and catch. The only place the ball could be thrown without being intercepted. Watch this. Leans out. Total control of the football. That's a catch. You see his hands underneath it? Even if they replayed that, it would be a catch because he got his hands underneath.
Extra point is up and good. I tell you, in fairness to the NFL officials, they have done a tremendous job this year. Everybody's waiting for a lot of mistakes that would have been overturned by replay, which is now gone. There haven't been the mistakes. But there is a game right now.
The NFL on NBC is brought to you by Starter. Look for the stars and you'll find Starter. By Oldsmobile, the power of intelligent engineering. By the Business Services Division of MCI. And by Samsonite. Our strengths are legendary.
I don't know what kind of a critter that is.
That's a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Viking dinosaur. I love this. I love the shoes. They look like the pair you had on last night.
Yeah, those are
jogging.
Heavy duty. Right now, we're in the thick of the battle as the battle has been joined by the Vikings after they were out of the game most of the way. They have now come back to within 3. Be interesting to see who the Browns quarterback will be when their offense comes out as Baldwin runs back the kickoff. And Brent Novoselsky makes the tackle on special teams. Now, while we have a moment, let's go to NFL Live in New York. Bob?
Don, in the game most people in our audience will see as the second half of the doubleheader. John Elway can't go today for the Broncos at the Coliseum in L.A. against the Raiders. You see him here warming up a while back. He's active for the game only because he's their backup holder, but he'll go in as the third-string quarterback today behind Tommy Maddox, who will start, and Sean Moore, who's the backup. Don?
Thank you, Bob. That's an interesting development. This Maddox is a good young player, though. He's exciting.
Oh, yeah.
He's not John Elway, though. Yeah. Tom Jack still on the sidelines. They're staying with Philcox. They must have been very unhappy with that second interception. There's an interception by the Vikings. McMillan's on the run. I don't believe it's live. Audrey McMillan goes in, and the Vikings take the lead. For Audrey McMillan.
There's Tomczak. Now, this is not Wilcox's fault, I don't believe, because look at this ball is out to the outside. The ball's, yeah, it is high. Navarro, now the question is that a catch on the ground? Help it. McMillan did a great job of turning over right away, getting up and making the interception, getting up and running for the touchdown. That's 3 interceptions for him today.
And the reports we got that Tomczak did not suffer an injury. He was just taken out of the game. The extra point is up and good, and all of a sudden the Vikings, who are out of this game down 13-0 at halftime, have scored 17 unanswered points to take the lead. There's a penalty marker down on the extra point.
There is a flag on the play, and it's holding on the defense, and this will be
pull and shoot. Will penalize on the kickoff.
They'll penalize it.
Point is good.
You can't pull the guy out of the hole in order to rush the extra point. And here's the interception. He's trying to hit Navarro on the outside, and watch this ball is high. Navarro goes up, gets one hand on it. The ball's tipped. Now McMillan, he gets blocked out right here. We don't know if the ball hits the ground or not, but there was an official right to the left of the screen. McMillan just hustles, never hesitated, got up and went for the touchdown. Just heads up. What's that now? That's 7 touchdowns.
6 defensive touchdowns for the Vikings in the last 4 games.
Now this makes 7 because they had 6 going in, 4 interceptions for touchdown. This made 5 to 2 fumbles. And here comes, watch this. That's from last week. That's Parker picking up a fumble and going for a touchdown. This defense makes things happen.
What a turn of events. Now, Paul, let's see what happens. Will he go back to Tomczak? He's not going to, apparently.
No.
And we're told there's nothing wrong with Tomczak physically. He played great football in the first half. Led the Browns to a 13-0 lead. He was intercepted twice in the third quarter, and he was taken out of the game. Phil Cox, coming in his place, had his first interception run back for a touchdown.
I wonder how many second guessers are going to be in Cleveland. Come on, how many? 2, 3, maybe? Million?
I'll tell you, that's...
Whoa, are they going to... I mean, if the Browns lose this game, are they going to be ripping them as far as the change was made?
And the word we get, it was a coaching decision to put in Todd Philcox and remove Tomczak. Randy Baldwin cautioned not to bring it out. This is some story. This is a developing story. As Cleveland, Ohio went from a happy town to a very unhappy town, they're going to stay with Philcox.
You know, and we talked about it in the first half. In order for this game to turn around, the defense had to do something. The one guy that took it upon himself to do something was Audrey McMillan, who was intercepted Tomczak twice and Philcox once and one for a touchdown. I mean, they've got a defense. This offense of the Minnesota Vikings, except for those 2 great catches downfield, one by Jordan and the other one by Joe Johnson, they might have been settling for a field goal.
Yeah, they were 2 great catches by 2 Vikings. One to set up the score, the other for the touchdown. Browns go to the run. Our hit up the middle, and Chris Dolman is there to meet fullback Kevin Mack. That certainly ignited this crowd.
What? Huh? I can't hear you. Here it comes. I don't want to make a living trying to run the ball against this defensive line. Dolman, I know he's had to have at least 10 tackles. He's playing super. The defense of this team, I said something earlier on the show here in Minneapolis, is that defenses will get you to the Super Bowl. We only ask the offense to win 1 game, and that's the Super Bowl game. This is a defense that can get this team to the Super Bowl.
Right on. That's exactly right. Now Philcox with 2nd down and 7 goes with a long count and sends Metcalf in motion. Here comes the rush. There's the connection. The ball is ahead for a Cleveland first down, as on a slant pattern, Metcalf, who went in motion left to right, cuts back over the middle, and Philcox is right on his numbers.
And that's what Philcox needs to do. His first play was a completion. Now here comes Metcalf in motion. Scott is covering him. Metcalf just cuts back inside. It's a one-on-one coverage. The ball is right on target. You don't have to get greedy in this ball game. You're only down by 4 points. You've got 7.5 minutes to go in the ball game. You have 3 timeouts. Just Take your time.
There's the quarterback comparison. See what Hamzat did. Wilcox has only thrown 2 balls. His first one was for a touchdown, but the wrong way. Man, what is that?
Well, I'll tell you what that is. That's Henry Thomas in your face.
2nd and 10.
First of all, Wilcox juggled the ball when he got it from center. Watch his hands. Watch this. Sammy almost didn't get the ball. Now he goes back. There's a deal in the line. Noga goes inside. Thomas goes outside. Wilcox has to get rid of the ball or get killed.
Wilcox is a 3rd-year player from Syracuse. He's been a backup around the league. He backed up at his 3rd-string quarterback at Cincinnati. He's big, 6'4", 225. Kevin Mack is big and running hard. On 2nd down and 10, he takes it out to the 35-yard line, where Mike Merriweather makes the stop along with Henry Thomas. Vikings came in with 34 sacks. They have only 1 today. That's the time remaining in the game. 6:52 and ticking.
All right, now Minnesota, they go to their dime package. You better put somebody again on Metcalf.
Vikings dig in to rush. Wilcox needs 7 yards on 3rd down. Swings it out. Browns have to punt the ball.
Al Noga, if that ball is thrown where it was supposed to be thrown, Al Noga would have had a touchdown. He read the slip screen to the outside. They were trying to run a little slip on the fly screen. Watch this. Metcalf's going to go out. Watch Noga. Right there. See the ball? If the ball was thrown to Metcalf in the right spot, Noga would have had it. Number 99, been another touchdown.
Brian Hansen is summoned once again. Number 11 to punt the ball for a 6th time today. High punt. Carries downfield. It'll be run back by Anthony Parker. And what this game very well mean, come down to, it's probably up to the Browns defense to win it if they can, because their offense is stopped. It's doing nothing. With Paul Maguire, this is Don Criqui back at the Metrodome in Minneapolis, Minnesota. The Vikings, with 17 points in the 2nd half, have come from 13 points behind and have taken the lead. The go-ahead touchdown on Aubrey McMillan's 3rd interception of the day, which he returned for a touchdown. A phenomenal day for Cleveland's defensive leader, Mike Johnson, 59, 11 tackles, an interception, and a fumble recovery.
That's a season for some guys.
Both coaches have changed their quarterbacks. Rich Gannon was pulled at halftime. Sean Salisbury's been in there. Final score, Green Bay Packers 17, Chicago Bears 3.
All right, Mike Johnson, I mean, you talk about a day. I think between he and Clay Matthews, they're going to make something happen defensively. They're going to have to make it win. Look at Mike Johnson. Get away from the blocker, line up the tackle, and makes the tackle. I mean, you don't play defense in the middle better than that. I'm sorry.
You want to keep at arm's length from Coach Ditka this evening, I think.
I was waiting for you to talk about Mike losing, scoring 3 points.
Allen runs with the ball, and the Cleveland Browns on a 2nd down and 6 play shut it down after a gain of less than 2 yards.
And the tackle was made by
Mike Johnson.
Thank you. I don't even have to. You don't have to point to the guy anymore. Just he'll make the tackle for you. Believe me. It'll either be he or Clay Matthews.
Mike first came to prominence in the USFL playing for Philadelphia. Undersized, but we talked about him being an academic All-American in engineering at Virginia Tech. You're not going to fool him. And the guy just makes play after play. He plays hurt. It's just a tremendous ability to diagnose, sort out a defense, a flick of an eye, and be where the ball is.
I forgot to tell him he was undersized. You know what I'm saying?
Here's a loop lead pass. That's a little bit too much on it for Terry Allen coming out of the backfield.
You know who made that play work? And we say Mike Johnson, Clay Matthews. Clay Matthews got a piece of Terry Allen coming off the line of scrimmage, and he's the guy that foiled the play.
Final score, the Detroit Lions have beaten Cincinnati 19-13.
Watch out here on the left of your screen. You may not see the contact, but the contact was made by Clay Matthews, and that throws the timing off of this play. By getting a piece of Terry Allen, that did it.
Eric Metcalf is now back for the Browns, standing back inside his 20. Newsom with his 8th punt, and it's one of his best. He's had good ones all day. Here comes Metcalf. Good job by Metcalf to get any yards because the Viking kick covers were right down surrounding him. Jake Reed again makes the play, number 86. So there's a break in the action, a timeout on the field, and the Browns are going to stay with Phil Cox. A doubleheader day indeed on NBC Sports. Most of you see the Broncos and the Raiders, as the Raiders, coming off a win over Seattle last week, hope to get back in the race if they can beat the Broncos without Elway. The first game of the season, Elway personally beat the Raiders. That Sunday night opener at Mile High Stadium. One of the best games of the year.
I thought they weren't vocal here.
They've gotten vocal. Aubrey McMillan was looking at a 4th interception. It was a completion for a 2-yard gain.
So Phil Cox is now 2 out of 5 for 9 yards. Eric Metcalf is coming out. Merriweather's going across with him. What he does is he has Metcalf on the inside. Look at McMillan. He's got him on the outside. That's a perfect throw to the outside, but it's only good for like 2 yards. If it isn't perfect, it's a touchdown the other way.
Phil Cox, who was signed as an unprotected free agent last April by Cleveland, hands off to Metcalf. And again, the Viking defense stops him cold. No gain. 3rd down and 8.
Jack Del Rio gets a piece of Metcalf as he's trying to break it back to the outside, and he brings him down. There's Jack Del Rio. One of the reasons they brought him in here was for the run defense.
Miami and Houston look like they might be heading to OT at Joe Robbie Stadium. Tied up in the 4th quarter, 16 all. Buffalo en route to a 9-2 record, best in the American Conference. Big down now for the Browns as their backup quarterback, Todd Philcox, brings his team out. 3rd down, and he needs 8. Crowd really kicking in here at the Metrodome. Caught, but not for a first down. It was almost intercepted. Lawyer Tillman makes the catch at the 30-yard line, but he's going to be a yard short of a first down.
Anthony Parker, I think he thought he intercepted
it. He did. He started to run. He looked at his arms. He had the ball. Must have gone through his arms. We'll look at it again. Watch this.
I mean, aren't you able to feel that thing? It's round enough. Here it comes. Watch Parker, 27. He thinks he's got that. Here he is. Watch, he starts running. Whoops. No, I don't have it. Tillman has it. Merriweather puts his hand down. You're in a 4-down situation. You've got a lot of the clock running down now. Phil Cox has got to get himself in a position. You have 3 timeouts. In a 4th-down situation like this, go ahead and take a timeout. Get yourself set. You don't need to rush a play because they're going to get to the line of scrimmage with 10 seconds to run the play.
It's going to be a power run. They need less than a yard. 4th down for Cleveland. The game will be over if they don't make this. They're going to throw. Let's see where the spot is. Incomplete. This could be a turning point for Belichick's career so far at Cleveland, pulling his quarterback of a, we're told, no injury after he played very well, did throw 2 interceptions, and Philcock has been totally ineffective against this all-out rush of the Minnesota Vikings. His first pass was intercepted and run back for a touchdown as Tomzak walks the sideline, probably wondering, like all of us, why he's not in there.
All right, they're throwing the ball out here to Horde. Watch this. Horde seems like he's going to make the catch right here. But Lee reaches in and grabs, excuse me, that's not Lee, it's Todd Scott. He reaches in and grabs the ball. If he holds on, he's got touchdown. They'll run a play and take it down to 2 minutes.
McMillan runs the ball down to the 25-yard line. And now the 2-minute warning is given as the Vikings have taken command of the game. One of his most important wins in a long time. We knew that Rich Gannon was pulled because he had a bad first half for the Vikings, and Salisbury came out to quarterback Minnesota. Why, though, Paul Maguire, was Mike Tomczak pulled after he built a 13-0 lead?
We found out it was a coaching decision. He threw a couple of interceptions. It really didn't hurt the team that much. I mean, it just stopped the drive. Yes, granted. But, I mean, with Tomczak, they were winning the football game. They were not in trouble at that point in time. And then all of a sudden you take him out of the ball game to put Wilcox in, who has done absolutely nothing in the ball game. I would have turned around and put him back in the ball game in that last drive. At least, as you know.
Look at Bavaro. You can see his disgust at the change.
The frustration, the finger pointing, the observations, the Monday morning quarterbacks at Cleveland is going to be absolutely incredible.
Oh, listen, they love the Browns in Cleveland, and they support the Browns big time in Cleveland. And they have every right to wonder. I mean, we talked earlier, I had not seen a better prepared team in every dimension than Belichick's team for the first half of this game. 2 third-quarter interceptions thrown by his starter, Mike Tomczak, who played a superior game up to that point. And as you pointed out, Paul, they weren't that harmful, the interceptions.
No, they weren't. And you know, the team, he's the kind of guy that can make some things happen. He'll do some things. Those 2 quarterback sneaks are on his own. He was an arm's length of getting first downs on both of them. When you put a quarterback in, at least you want to see some production. Wilcox had none.
Not any at all. Tomczak has a history of playing well against the Vikings. He's been a winner against them when he quarterbacked the Chicago Bears. He said that coming in. He felt confident playing against them. And then he came up with one of his better showings ever against Minnesota through the first half when the Browns built the lead. This whole game turned the other way, though. The first pass by Wilcox, run back for a touchdown by Aubrey McMillan, who's had a brilliant game for the Vikings with 3 interceptions.
When you look down that bench, boy, you talk about some dejected guys in the Cleveland Browns. They're measuring here to see if there's a first down. I think there should be. But the sad thing about Minnesota in this game, even if they win the football game, and I don't think it's important because I know the guy so very well from back in the USFL, Anthony Carter. If he doesn't catch a pass in this ball game, he has a streak of 105 games, and he has none.
You rarely see a turn of emotion. Look at this Cleveland team across the way. It's a totally dispirited team. This change has taken the air out of this whole Cleveland team, which came in here and played really great football against one of the NFL's best clubs this season.
Well, they knew that they had to win this football game to get back into contention. You made a good point. They've already beaten the 2 leaders in their division, Pittsburgh and Houston.
This is a tremendous moment for Dennis Green, the coach of the Vikings, because it looked like his season could be slipping away with a brutal part of his schedule coming up if they'd lost a 3rd home game this season today, and it surely looked like they were going to. Now with 1 minute and 32 seconds left to play, the Vikings have a 1st and 10 at the Cleveland 20 as Cleveland failed on a 4th down throw on their own side of the field. The Steelers have won again. They today took the measure of the Indianapolis Colts 30-14.
Steelers are for real, folks. Of course, the Colts are down to Trudeau again at quarterback. George got hurt in our game last week that we did against New England. Anthony Carter is coming off the field. He doesn't look like it. It's first down. The Cleveland Browns took a timeout. I think that's what they're arguing about. There was a measurement, and that'll put the Cleveland Browns down to 1 timeout. That man there, 105 consecutive games he's caught a pass. He is now standing on the sideline. Unless they're running the old sleeper play. Huh?
Hey, they do that. You go into your bag of tricks at this point, but they got no bag of tricks to go to right now.
And they can't really, logically throw the ball to Anthony Carter. He just waved at Salisbury and just said, hey, go for it. I understand. Because if you try to get a reception to Anthony Carter, and for some reason Cleveland intercepts it, picks it up, runs for a touchdown, you lose the ball game. That's crazy. Buffalo, final. 41-14. And I think that Jerry Glanville's Harley has 2 flat tires in it.
35-0, as you pointed out early in the second quarter was that game.
Whoa.
That was a letter day at Buffalo. Everybody got a chance to win a letter. The backup.
Yeah, that game was almost over before it started.
You really wondered if Belichick, Paul, wouldn't go back to Mike Tomczak when Phil Cox struggled coming in, but he stayed with his decision. He pulled his starter. He went with Phil Cox for better or for worse, and it has surely been for worse for the Cleveland Browns.
Folks, excuse me, if you want to know what's going on, we have no idea. Now, Pat Haggerty's running back and forth saying, wait a minute, hey, you stay out. I'll talk to the head coach. You get out of here. And he's trying to explain to him. He was over talking to Bill Belichick a little while ago, and now he's back over here. Now, remember something. Even though this delay is long, there is no instant replay. I just started to throw that in.
Yeah, that's...
And they're just...
he's going to tell us now what the situation is here.
If he doesn't, I'm going to go down and choke him.
The situation such as it is. A situation apparently mired in confusion at this point.
What do you think it is? Cleveland... I think Cleveland took a timeout. They want Cleveland to have either one timeout or start the clock. They're all looking at their wristbands. Yes, they're all black, and they all look good.
Coach Green's telling how many they have. All right, you have one.
You have one?
Well, maybe you have two.
You have one in this hand.
How many would you want, guys? You want
Cleveland has one timeout left.
Okay.
Wait a minute. It took you 4 minutes to tell these guys they got one timeout?
So,
they're going to just sit on the ball.
Absolutely, they're going to. The Vikes are set to go to 8-3 on a day when it seemed like they were going down. I tell you, we've broadcast a lot of NFL games. This is the most puzzling thing I think I've seen as far as a coaching decision.
It really is. When you look at it, the decision was made. But once the decision is made, that's okay if you make that decision. But if your backup quarterback comes in and he does something, but Phil Cox didn't do anything at all. Threw some high passes, intercepted for a touchdown. Now here's a guy standing on the sideline. I would not be opposed of putting him back in. Same way with Salisbury. Had he not, the defense moved the football team for the Minnesota Vikings. Salisbury threw a couple of passes that Jordan made a sensational catch on. Joe Johnson made a sensational catch for the touchdown. The other touchdown, again, remember, folks, was by the defense. So if Salisbury didn't move, I wouldn't have been surprised to see Dennis Green put Gannon back in the ball game. But that didn't happen with Cleveland.
Bill Cox was 3 of 7 throwing the ball for 17 yards. One interception was run back for the go-ahead touchdown.
Points on turnovers, Crick.
And now, while we have a moment, let's send it back to NFL Live in New York for this update. Here's Bob.
Late in the game at Joe Robbie, Al Del Greco has a chance to win it for Houston. His 41-yard field goal attempt is just wide to the right. You'll recall he missed one from 39 a few weeks ago at Pittsburgh, and they lost to the Steelers 21-20. Right now, about half a minute to play. Miami driving for the potential winning field goal, otherwise overtime.
A forgettable day, apparently, for Al Del Greco also. But it's not over there yet. This one, in all of intents and purposes, is over. The Browns are out of timeouts. The clock is running. Bill Belichick is explaining something. He's going to have a lot of explaining to do, will Bill, after this is over.
Yeah, well, you remember,
Coach's decision. It's his call.
Yeah, it is. You know, you talk about Del Greco, forgetting about it. I remember when the only time we ever tell a story about way back in the old AFL when I was punting for the Buffalo Bills, Lou Save was on the sideline, and I shanked the punt when we needed it. Went about 13 yards. I came off the sideline. I knew he was going to say something. I didn't know what. And he looked at me. He says, "You know, I only pay you to punt. You can't even do that. Go sit down." That's what they tell Del Greco. Look at it. They're only paying you to kick field goals.
The executive producer of NBC Sports is Terry O'Neill. Coordinating producer of NBC Football, John Ferratzis. Today's game was produced by Terry Ewert. Directed by John Gilmartin. Associate Director Dick Ellis. Production Associate Molly Solomon. And for their help in the booth, we thank Ron Caldwell and Larry Collis. As right now, the Vikings are ready to put a lock on their 8th win of the season as Mike Tomczak not only wonders about what went wrong today when he was pulled, but what is his future with the Browns. Bernie will be in there next week. Kozar. Here's the Hager wrinkle-free cotton super play of the game. It was the decider for the Vikes. Philcox dropping to throw. Pass in the flat. McMillan off a tip ball off Ferraro's fingertips. Fields the ball. This is his 3rd interception, and he's not done till he's in the end zone. And the Vikings on this play came from behind to where they now stand a 17-13 leader. They'll be a 17-13 winner.
Let me just add one thing. 3rd interception of the day. Third of the day. I mean, he had an outstanding ball game. And you could tell when a quarterback is hot. Remember they just showed Tom Zach a little while ago? He's been standing over there with his helmet on the whole time. If a quarterback's out, fine, take your helmet off, you'll sit down. But when you're hot, you leave your helmet on, because those little veins in your neck kind of show a little bit.
This ball is.
Well, the Vikings let the clock run down.
Cleveland, they're throwing things with their TVs, and in Minnesota they're saying, "Poof, we got out of this one."
Well, Minnesota let the clock run all the way. They couldn't let after 3rd down, let the clock run out because there were about an extra 9 seconds or 7 seconds on the clock. So they got down to 7, took a timeout, and then now they're trying to get this thing over with. And
5 seconds on the clock. 45 seconds on the clock.
45 seconds on the field clock, play clock.
To statisticians Tom and Terry Greenway, who've been totaling the numbers with just 7 seconds left. But in truth, this one is over, barring an even more bizarre play than things we've seen transpire earlier here today.
Yeah, you know, and it's here goes the clock. This game is over with. You know, you're talking about the Cleveland Browns on turnovers. They got 10 points. The Vikings got 7. Good defensive football game. Offensively, not much.
Dennis Green comes off the field, a relieved man, and Bill Belichick's long week is going to get a lot longer.
They're going to still say, Green, you haven't beaten anybody yet. You're 8-3.
Yeah.
Boy, that's a disappointing team right there, Cleveland.
Once again, the final score. The Vikings over the Cleveland Browns, 17-13. Now stay tuned for the second half of our NFL doubleheader. Most of you will see the Broncos face the LA Raiders or the Jets battle the New England Patriots. Now for Paul Maguire, this is Don Criqui saying so long from the Metrodome in Minneapolis, where the Vikings came from behind to prevail 17-13.